have happened with Israel. First, there's just a major paradigm shift post-October 7th, where the idea that you can deter these terrorist organizations in and around Israel and the neighboring territories is no longer something the population is open to. And anybody that misses that paradigm shift misses another thing, which is that it is perfectly reasonable and highly likely that a significant portion of Israelis can both have challenges with their government and feel emotionally zealous about getting every single one of those hostages back. Mm-hmm. The way in which the hostages who are still at large and have not been brought home feature into Israel's emotional unity and this shift that's happening is going to be an essential part of everything that Israel does going forward. One other thing that I would raise, we knew who the spoilers were in the Israel-Palestinian issue before October 7th, and we know who the spoilers are after October 7th. It's the same on both sides. There's a new type of spoiler or headwind that we don't spend enough time thinking about, which is the social mediaification of this war means that you have more hours of footage uploaded to all the popular platforms than you have minutes of the entire war itself. And this is injecting identity politics into the Arab street, which is complicated for countries like Egypt and Jordan. But it's doing something else, which is it is creating a reservoir of content all over these platforms that exists as a massive vulnerability for a future chapter of radicalization. And I would like to remind people that the 9/11 hijackers were radicalized by watching far less footage at a non-algorithmic context of what happened in the Balkans in the 90s. So I'm very worried that you combine everything that's been uploaded to social media with some of the migration trends post-COVID into Europe. We could really be in for a whole new chapter of homegrown terrorism.
I'd love to have you back, and we can go all around the world with Jared Cohen. We'll just throw him any country, and he's going to have an opinion. I want to talk about your book, Life After Power, 7 Presidents and Their Search for Purpose Beyond the White House. This book has so much in it. I'm very excited for it. Let me just give you a chance to tell us why you wanted to write it in the first place, and how did you choose the presidents that you looked at?
So, Dana, my last book was called Accidental Presidents, and it was about what happens when the president dies in office. So once I finished that book and got through my kind of postpartum author depression, I wanted to ask the question, what happens when the president survives the office? And I was, it's interesting. It's the last, 50 pages of the sort of long Ron Chernow biographies. And I just wanted to know if there was anything interesting in there. And some of this was informed by the fact that I've always been interested in this question many of us are going to ask our entire lives of, like, what do we do next? And you look to entrepreneurs and you look to CEOs, and we never look to the presidency, in part because we don't think about what happens after they leave office. And what was interesting is when I canvassed the 45 men who've been president 46 times, I found that there really were only 7 that were even worth talking about. And those 7 were very worth talking about because each of them got after this question of what do you do, after the most dramatic retirement in the world, after you've kind of given up what was supposed to be or lost what was supposed to be your greatest act. And you take these sort of seemingly unrelatable people, these presidents of the United States, and you basically dig into their biggest vulnerabilities when they come back down to earth. And what's left behind is an enormous amount of prescriptions for the rest of us, not just for what to do in retirement, but just how to think about transition in general.
Right. Goldman Sachs President of Global Affairs, Jared Cohen, his new book, Life After Power, comes out February 13th. Jared, thanks so much for joining.
This
thanks,
is
Dana.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GA won't wait.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
Is the Biden administration doing enough to protect our troops in the Middle East? If not, why are we leaving them in that position?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice
for conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. We're going to seal up the border.
Has Donald Trump ever felt pressure from the media conglomerate and from the big donors? No. He's going to do what he thinks is in the best interest of the country.
1019 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL.
Threatening the Northeast.
There's only one team you can count on.
We're expecting multiple days of snow.
When it's cold outside.
Big snow is developing across the 4 corners.
Fox Weather turns up the heat.
What a storm.
Fox Weather is Winter Storm HQ.
A deeper dive into the major and controversial stories of the day. This is the Fox News Rundown. More coming up.
This is News Talk STL. 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Tuesday, President Biden's now being forced to act, even though confronting bad situations is the absolute last thing he really wants to do. But he has no choice. Iranian terrorist surrogates are now attacking American forces in the Middle East. So Biden will have to punish the mullahs, especially since 3 U.S. servicemen were killed over the weekend. On the border, the situation is so dire, 70% of the American people say the president's open border policy is unacceptable. And the noose is swaying above Hunter Biden's head. As it's obvious, he violated a bevy of federal laws and amassing millions from foreign agents. Joe Biden has to know Hunter has violated the Foreign Agents Registration Act. In addition, Hunter is charged with felonious tax violations in Delaware and California. There is nowhere for Joe Biden to hide on any of these things. He is massively exposed. So what will he do? As little as possible if history holds up. But no matter what he does, Biden's legacy is damaged perhaps beyond repair. So many problems unsolved, so few solutions coming out of the White House. And so the American people wait for Joe to do something. It has been a very long wait. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. For more news and honest analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. More analysis later on.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
The conservatives, the Freedom Caucus, they are not backing down in Jefferson City. Now, whether you're on their side or whether you're on the side of the more establishment Republicans, things are going to amp up just a little bit later on today. There's actually a rally in support of the Freedom Caucus senators planned for the state capitol. Matter of fact, right around 6:35, we've got an update and a preview on that. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day. Now, the senator who's probably more in the middle of the firestorm than anybody is Bill Eigel, and he joined us on Monday's program to frankly answer questions about where things are policy-wise, because this is what it's all supposed to be about, right? And also about the relationships and the ability of the Republican Party in the state legislature to actually do conservative things. My buddy Chris Arps was filling in for Gabe Pfeiffer on Monday, and so we had a chance to talk to the senator, and here's what he had to say. You tend to be provocative in politics, but man, you are the center of the tempest right now. Let me start off by asking if there's any movement or update on discussions about you getting back not just your chairmanships, but the places on the committees that Caleb Rowden decided to go after you with.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me. A happy Monday to all your listeners. There is not currently any conversation going on that has to do with getting those things back that we lost, including our parking spaces, which a lot of people are worried about. But right now our focus is as the Freedom Caucus is on getting initiative petition reform passed. That has been identified as the number one priority of the Republican caucus, protecting our Constitution. We're seeing the pro-abortion forces really get their act together. They're putting millions of dollars behind a petition that's going to try to re-enshrine abortion into our Constitution. So that's really where our focus is right now. Certainly, I suspect there'll come a time where we may have a discussion about what to do about all these committees. But right now, we're just focused on policy. And unfortunately, that's where it's going to stay. Now, I've got some good news on that front. Of course, after all that we've done, all that we've slowed down, as uncomfortable as we have made the swamp down there in Jefferson City, finally, as a result of all that, on Thursday, Senator Rowden finally referred all the initiative petition bills, and we've secured a commitment that today those bills will be heard in committee. So, a lot of folks in Jefferson City complaining that our tactics don't get a whole lot done. Well, guess what? Those tactics finally got the referral of the bills complete on Thursday, and now the hearings on those bills, the public hearings, which is a natural step in the process, is going to be done today. So it's working. Now's not the time to give in.
Good morning, Bill. Chris Arps. Senator Rowden has said that he was already going to refer those bills before the filibuster, before this action. What's your response to that?
Well, for the 3 weeks before the filibuster started, he didn't do anything. When he had the chance, in fact, even during some of the days of the filibuster, when he had the opportunity to refer the bills, he didn't do anything. And so, I think one of the big concerns we have with Senator Rowden is that his words do not match his actions. He keeps saying, I want to get these things done. I want to get these things done. I want to do everything I can. But then his actions, which have been that of an individual who did not refer these bills for the first 3 weeks of session, he did not fight for these bills last session when they ultimately failed. They differ from what he's saying. So I'm used to hearing the right things from Senator Rowden. I'm also used to seeing the wrong things as far as his actions are concerned.
Didn't IP reform pass last year in the Senate?
It did pass the Senate, and it also passed the House. In fact, when a priority like that passes the Senate and the House, but doesn't actually, get to the finish line. So we passed individual deferring bills in the Senate and the House last year, but the leadership of both chambers didn't take the time to actually work out the differences and get them over the finish line. That tells me, one, that there's plenty of support for the issue within the body itself, but two, the only reason they didn't pass was because leadership didn't do their job. So, yes. And again, this is the silliness that we have been dealing with in Jefferson City, where we do all this work, we push all these priorities, and then leadership finds a way at the end or the beginning to derail those things which we feel are the most important.
So it died in the conference afterwards.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Well, let me ask you then about, and I would say this would just be basically political drama, but Cindy O'Loughlin kind of escalated things on I guess it was Thursday. She was talking to the Missouri Press Association saying absolutely, if she could find the votes, she would expel you from the Senate. Now, some of that can be, she just doesn't like you personally. You guys have a conflict. But when you're talking about expulsion from the Senate, that has very real policy effects as well. When you first heard that, obviously we know what your reaction was because you gave statements to the press and everybody else. But when things have escalated to that point where somebody is just openly in front of all the microphones saying, yep, I'd kick the guy out if I could, what does that say about the state of the body politic right now?
Well, it says that right now our Senate leadership is trying to silence the aggressive, loud, passionate minority of the Freedom Caucus in really the same manner that national leftist forces are trying to silence Donald Trump. I mean, you have, with Donald Trump, the left is trying to charge him with fake crimes. They're trying to arbitrarily remove him from the ballot to silence his voice. And now we find out that Cindy O'Loughlin is adopting those same tactics. That if she could, she would just expel me from the Senate. Never mind the 180,000 people in eastern St. Charles County that elected me to represent them in the Senate twice over the past 10 years. It doesn't matter in Cindy O'Loughlin's mind. What matters in Cindy O'Loughlin's mind is I make her uncomfortable. In fact, I give her so great discomfort because I talk. Just my words cause her such great discomfort that she has no answer other than to call for my expulsion. Of course, she's already lost her cool on the Senate floor in recent weeks, calling me a bunch of names. And really, that's where the discussion lies. That's why, guys, this morning I can announce this morning. This is breaking. This morning, the Freedom Caucus is putting out an official statement that we are calling collectively as the Freedom Caucus. So this is the first time this has happened. We are calling for the resignation of both Senator O'Loughlin and Senator Rowden from their leadership positions, and we're going to start searching for a new leadership team that's willing to have candid, honest conversations and are actually going to take this seriously and try to move the ball forward. We don't feel like, as Republicans, that we should be having to put this level of effort into getting Republican priorities passed, and we realize that right now the number one problem is the current leadership team in place. So we're calling for their resignation, not just me, not just one senator, not just two senators, the entire Freedom Caucus, which is backed by our allies around the state, and on behalf of all the central committees and all the Republican groups that have come out over the weekend and condemned the actions of Senator Rowden and Senator O'Loughlin. It's time for them to step down and make way for a leadership team that can actually move the Senate forward.
Senator Ronald Reagan, one of our favorite presidents, had two sayings. One was the 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of a fellow Republican, and my 80% friend is not my 20% enemy. Is that still applicable in today's Republican Party?
Yeah, it is. But Ronald Reagan also said, if you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. So, Ronald Reagan never gave his 11th commandment as a reason to excuse Republicans who are just acting like Democrats. Ronald Reagan never said, well, it's okay to tolerate Republicans that want to betray our principles in order to make way for the Democrats to have their way in the legislative bodies of this country. So if this was simply about personal animosities, which for anybody in the Freedom Caucus it's not, then absolutely what Ronald Reagan said holds true. But this is about policy. And I believe that if Ronald Reagan were here right now, I believe he would absolutely be working with the Freedom Caucus to help defend our Constitution from the pro-abortion crowd that wants to install death in our back in our founding document. So that's what this is about. They have not seen the light as we have continued to push them towards the right and continued to push them towards doing the right thing. So we're going to continue to make them feel the heat.
All right, we're visiting with State Senator Bill Eigel. Bill, I've just got a minute or so left here. One of the things which I think we all knew was going to be the reaction to the way you all came out pretty hot right off the bat, the questioning of the tactics, even a number of people who were standing behind Caleb at his press conference after they kicked you and Andrew and some of the others, Rick, off of the committees. They're saying that these are conservatives. They may agree with you on a lot of stuff, but boy, they just don't like the way that you've handled things. Did you come off too hot right off the bat? Because they're trying to argue that you're the ones who are shutting down what's happened in the Senate, sending O'Loughlin saying we've had X number of days and we've had X number of days where nothing got done, and it's all that darn big Bill Eigel's fault.
Well, I tell you what, Cindy O'Loughlin and some of those others keep telling us to trust in the system and the way things are appropriately supposed to work. But I tell you what, it's precisely that status quo system that failed us last year. It failed us the year before. So what we're doing, yeah, I acknowledge it makes the status quo and the swamp uncomfortable, doesn't it? In fact, it makes them so uncomfortable they're doing silly things like taking our parking spaces and calling for our expulsion. And in spite of all that, it's precisely our tactics that got these bills referred last Thursday and is getting a hearing on those bills today. So we're going to continue to make the swamp uncomfortable. We're going to continue to call for change in the leadership down in Jefferson City. And if those folks think that they're going to be able to silence us, they have lost their minds. We're not going to be stopped. We're going to keep being bold about it. Let's go, Missouri.
All right. Obviously, we didn't have time to get into the gubernatorial campaign. Let's go ahead and put out the website and social media as well so people can follow what you're doing and get in touch if they want to have any more questions or just want to see how the campaign's going and what you're all about.
BillEigel.com. Go to BillEigel.com. Our platform's on there. We've had tens of thousands of people sign up to be a part of the effort. The word is spreading around the state. Let's go, Missouri.
Hey, Bill, good to talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
News Roundup starts things off here in just about 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And don't forget, right around 6:35, that rally is happening at the state capitol right around 11 o'clock today. But we've got a preview for you at 6:35 with Byron Keelin from Freedom Principal Mo. That's all just ahead right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in. And I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Somebody stole it and we're stealing it back.
Someone needs to answer the door. I'm on the phone.
Lou, you okay, buddy?
I'm sorry.
Somebody needs to answer the door. I'm on the phone.
Will you answer that door for Lou, please?
Keep it down. It's okay.
I can't believe that happened at that exact moment.
Of course it does. That's what we call timing.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
If I could be you.
And you could be me?
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Got a busy one today still.
All right, let's go.
All right, among the things that we're talking about, by the way, Nick Schroer, that liner right there, apparently we got another filibuster happening in the state Senate right now.
You know, I heard that late last night.
Yeah, they're still going.
It's Mike Moon, I think, doing it.
He's leading this one, yeah.
All right.
I got to get the update on that here in a little bit. All right, still ahead here. Anti-Semitic corruption within a United Nations organization. Color me shocked.
I am shocked.
Didn't see that one. Except I did.
The useless nations, as I call them.
Yeah, that's a good name for it. Yep. All right. Also, support for the Freedom Caucus is on the way to Jefferson City, and apparently they have time to get there because there's a filibuster happening. And you can use your passive-aggressive disdain for your ex to help one of St. Louis's attractions.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
All right. It's for the kids.
Yes, exactly. It's 5:49 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That is Stel Ponticus. All right, let's get to the really ugly stuff just to kind of start with here. Several countries suspending their funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which is often just called UNRWA. So this is after we've discovered that about a dozen of their aid workers, that, by the way, all of this funding to this organization is paying for, about a dozen of those aid workers took part in the Hamas attack against Israel.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Republican out of Florida, was on Hannity last night, and he says that he believes the U.S. must also stop funding to the United Nations now that we're getting information like this.
This is a horrible, horrible organization that's done a lot of damage, and the Biden administration has given them, I think it's more than that, I read over $1 billion since he's been in office that he's given to UNRWA, which most of that has gone directly to Hamas to build these tunnels and to buy weapons.
UNRWA says, no, please keep sending us money. We promise we'll investigate.
Little side note here on the United Nations. There are some folks who are down at the border who feel that the U.S. should stop funding the United Nations because a lot of the money is going towards the NGOs who are helping the folks get across the border.
Yeah, I imagine if we really boiled it down and said, well, is there really a good reason to stop funding the United Nations from the United States? We could probably come up with, I don't know, 3, 4, 50, 100, 200 reasons to stop funding the United Nations.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Other news here. An Illinois elections board is going to discuss whether to keep or remove Donald Trump from the primary ballot. Yeah, we're doing this again.
All right.
State Board of Elections has their regularly scheduled meeting today. They are going to discuss that question at today's hearing. A hearing officer in a preliminary set of stuff heard arguments from both sides last week and recommended that Trump be removed from the ballot. And of course, this is like other states related back to the riots on January 6th. That officer is a retired Republican judge. His report holds no legal force whatsoever. The 8-person board, for whatever it's worth, is made up of 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. This was brought up by a group of liberal activists who are trying to do this around the country. The U.S. Supreme Court, of course, is considering similar cases in other states, and whatever they decide in the Maine and the Colorado cases will affect all of these. So this is essentially virtue signaling right now by activists in Illinois.
Do we know when the Supreme Court is considering?
They're looking at. I mean, it's in the process right now. Yeah. Now, when they're going to give a ruling, I don't know. Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation tells me that he thinks that this one, just because of the elections calendar, that they will probably prioritize and expedite this particular ruling because it's essentially administrative in nature in elections. So it could happen sooner rather than later, but I wouldn't expect it in the next couple of weeks or so.
Okay.
So we're going to have this stuff going on until then. All right, let's see here. What else we have going on here? You mentioned the border just a minute ago. There are now more negotiations underway for a border security package. Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri was on Ingram Eigel last night, and he says President Biden should not be trusted. So basically when he says let's negotiate in good faith, he's saying President Biden isn't negotiating in good faith because he's not exercising the authority he has right now to secure the border.
He reversed remain in Mexico. He ended that. He paid contractors $140,000 a day to not construct the wall. He's abusing parole, and he's sued Texas, who's actually tried to secure the border. He has no interest in it, and the idea that he's going to double pinky swear and really promise next time with some new language to do it is ridiculous.
Eric's got away with words.
Double pinky swear. That was great.
Oh, goodness. The negotiators are hoping the border security bill in question would also allow for a lot of international aid, including Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan as well, because the Democrats keep wanting to put all of that together, whereas the Republicans are saying, yeah, let's vote on all those separately. And that's where that is. In all likelihood, this is not going to move anytime soon. But, I think Republicans have just said, we've had it. If you're not going to negotiate in good faith, then neither are we. And, we're kind of in election season, and everybody would rather use it as an elections leverage point. But it's stronger for the Republicans this year than it is for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else is going on? Oh, speaking of elections here, Congressman Mike Bost, he's a friend of this radio station here, picks up some significant support for his reelection bid. The Illinois Fraternal Order of Police announced its endorsement of Bost on Monday.
Good.
Yeah. Mike Bost is up against Darren Bailey, who's the former state senator who lost to J.B. Pritzker in the last gubernatorial election. All right. Well, guess who's back at the office?
Oh, let's see. Was it someone who has been missing for a while?
For a little while.
Okay.
Yep. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin returned to work at the Pentagon on Monday.
That's the guy.
That's the guy. Remember that guy? He hasn't been around for a while. Out of sight, out of mind. That's how it works. Of course, this is after his prostate cancer surgery, and people looking around going, hey, where's Lloyd? Wait a minute. I thought he was going to be here today. He spoke at the Pentagon alongside NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg, and here's part of what he had to say.
At this important time, I'm glad to be back at the Pentagon. I feel good and am recovering well, but still recovering. And I appreciate all the good wishes that I've received thus far.
So the Biden administration kind of learning their lesson a little bit on all of this. Did you see that Merrick Garland is going in for a minor back surgery?
No, I didn't see that.
And so they announced it, and he's turned his duties over to the deputies, to the deputy AG, and they're doing it by the book. And so, Merrick Garland, just apparently this is not a big deal, but he's got to have one. He's going to be under anesthesia. So they're like, yeah, let's not screw this one up. up the way that Lloyd Austin screwed this one up. But
indeed.
Yeah, I mean, these people are my ideological opponents, but I hope they both recover, well and quickly, and they're out of pain very soon. Okay, want to honor your ex this Valentine's Day?
Oh, this sounds interesting.
For a very small fee, we're talking $5, $10, $20, whatever you want, the St. Louis Aquarium will name a vegetable, will name a cricket or a mealworm after your ex, and then feed it to one of their critters. You will get a digital Valentine's Day card as part of their Love Bites fundraiser. The funds raised will support the St. Louis Aquarium Foundation.
I don't mean this in a snarky manner. I'm just asking, were you the first in line?
I was not.
Okay.
It's kind of funny because I just like to me victory over my ex is that I don't even think about her anymore than I have to, at least. Oh, geez. But I imagine a lot of people were like, right, take this, Jackson. All right. Okay, the Blues play at home tonight. Columbus Blue Jackets are in town for this one. Puck drops at 7 o'clock. Man, Blues are on a hot streak right now.
They are.
Yeah, gritty hot streak, and I kind of love it. They've won their last 5 games. Tonight's game actually is on NHL Net. It is not on ESPN Plus, where most of their games are, so NHL Net for that one. All right, let's see here. Going to get things started here in just a minute with the breaking news that Democrats love abortion.
The latest news.
Iowa, thank you. We love you all. In spite of all of that they threw at us, we've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
The news you need to know.
I believe that Hunter Biden should be held completely in contempt.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
And the place to talk about it.
Biden is going to drive this country into the ground.
101.9 and 94.1.
Right here.
News Talk STL.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A grieving mother remembers her daughter, Oneida Sanders' daughter, Kennedy Sanders, one of 3 American service members who died when a drone fired by an Iran-backed group hit their remote outpost in Jordan.
Kennedy was very outgoing. She was very athletic, very competitive. She was a very silly girl. She likes to laugh and play. She was known for her smile and laughing all the time. And she was just an all-around good girl, full of life.
In addition to Specialist Kennedy Sanders, Sergeant William Rivers and Specialist Brianna Moffett also died in the attack. Home base for the 3 troops, Georgia's Fort Moore. Meanwhile, at the White House.
The president is trying to figure out how the U.S. should retaliate against a deadly Iranian-supported attack on American soldiers without escalating tensions in the Middle East.
There's no easy answer here.
And that's why the president is meeting with his national security team, weighing the options before him.
National Security spokesman John Kirby says the U.S. does not want a war with Iran, but the president will act to defend American troops and interests. Greg Clugston, the White House.
And U.S. forces in the Mideast targeted more than 160 times by Iran-backed militias since early October. Build a wall to help secure the southern border? A lot of Americans say yes. New Quinnipiac University poll finds 52% of voters favor building a wall. A project started by then-President Trump, quickly abandoned by President Biden, and the floodgates were open for massive illegal immigration and the flow of deadly fentanyl into the U.S. The North Koreans are doing it again. South Korea says the North has fired more cruise missiles into the sea. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 65 points. The Nasdaq futures are off 5 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Many church leaders don't seem to realize or understand Marxism has infiltrated the American church.
Letter to the American Church, the riveting new film from best-selling author Eric Metaxas.
They want to silence us.
It's everything that John 10:10 tells us about, where it's the enemy has come to steal and destroy.
There's a war that's raging.
This is the hour of the American church.
Letter to the American Church, streaming February 8th on Epic TV, part of Epic Time.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero. Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, Democrats love abortion, and elections can't happen without people willing to help administer them. Maybe that's you, and we got ourselves another filibuster happening in Jeff City right now.
Jeez. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a week or two.
Okay.
Since we've had a good filibuster. This one, though, they mean it. They mean it. All right, still ahead here. Cori Bush doesn't even hide the bigotry associated with supporting her. She literally embraces anti-Semites publicly. We're going to update you on that around 6:20. It's 6:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Susie Moore in for Gabe Pfeiffer today.
Yay!
From RedState.com. Gabe is off rocket sciencing somewhere for the week.
He's on assignment.
He's on assignment. That's right. Yep. All right. And of course, Del Ponticus is here as well. Okay, just kind of real quick here because we'll kind of bring people up to date on what's happening with this filibuster. This should not surprise anybody. Missouri's Democratic Party formally endorses the idea of enshrining abortion in the state constitution. They are formally supporting the referendum effort to put the constitutional amendment on the ballot. Not a surprise to anybody. That's part of their platform. But apparently they are going to put whatever resources they have into that. I mean, the reality is that the Democratic Party just doesn't have the resources to do a lot. All the money that's coming in is coming in from the much larger activist organizations. But in case you were wondering where the Missouri Democratic Party stood on enshrining abortion in the state constitution, they give it a big thumbs up.
Absolutely.
2 big forceps up. Sorry.
Yeah.
You just get
it's
here.
Too, I just got
I hit you
here.
with
I
that.
haven't
Yeah,
really gotten all
I
the
know.
caffeine yet. Yeah, no.
Oh, good night. Okay. Let's see here. Filibuster. I get in this morning and find out that we got ourselves another filibuster in the state capitol. And so this goes back to what it was related to the same thing as the last one.
Correct. This is about, so now the Freedom Caucus has said, okay, in a show of goodwill, we're going to agree to go along with 19 of the proposed gubernatorial appointments.
Right.
And they were kind of talking about that, but Senator Mike Moon has an objection to one of the people. I don't even know if it was one of the people on the list or if it was just one of the people in general. And that's what they're holding up right now.
Right. And so this is a little bit weird. The last filibuster, all of these appointments were just kind of collateral damage.
Correct.
Because the Freedom Caucus said, no, we want initiative petition reform. We want guarantees that some of these other big things are going to move up the line and they're going to be moved forward faster.
Right.
So they don't risk running out the clock. And you know what? These appointments seem like a pretty good thing to hold up with a filibuster.
Well, that was the only thing to hold up because nothing else had been referred yet.
Right.
Which was part of the reason that they were complaining.
Yeah. So a couple of things have happened with this. One, as of last check, they're still going at it. And then secondly, Bill Eigel, who was on this program yesterday, actually offered some, not really legislation, but offered the motion to say, you know what, all of them except this one guy that Senator Mike Moon has a problem with, let's go ahead and approve all the rest of them. And that was voted down.
I think there was 42 total, and
okay.
they were
19.
He was proposing 19.
Okay,
but there is the holdup right now is over one in particular, and I don't know if that was one on the 19 or if that was an additional one because I know Caleb Rowden countered with no, let's get them all through.
Oh,
so
it's an all or nothing thing.
Apparently.
Okay, smart move by Bill Eigel. To say, you know what, we don't have any problem with these right here. Let's go ahead and move them forward, and then put Caleb Rowden, put the other Republicans in a position to apparently say no.
Yeah,
to that.
So far, that seems to be what they're saying. I think the vote taken was 8-22 on his motion.
Right.
So it failed 8-22.
Yeah. So when somebody says, well, the Freedom Caucus is holding up all these nominations, they're going to go, we tried. You guys said no on this.
Right.
Which is something the average voter is not going to pay that close of attention to.
Probably not.
Except what we have right now is essentially people jockeying for who's actually in the driving seat really is what comes down to on this. Well, it's going to be an eventful session where it's possible nothing gets done.
It's possible. I know the next time we talk to Nick Schroer, I want to know what book he was reading from because they were all reading from books. I don't think there was any green eggs and ham going on, but I know that they were reading from books as part of the filibuster.
Oh, geez. I'll have to text him. Of course, they're taking turns napping in their offices after they do their filibuster on this. Okay. Did you know that today is Help America Vote Day?
I did not know that.
Yes, I didn't know that till this morning either. So local election officials, and this is something they deal with all the time. And by the way, in the 7 o'clock hour, we're talking elections. Now, we're not just talking about who we're going to vote for, who we're not going to vote for, but a lot of it is how to vote. At 7:05, Greene County Clerk Shane Schoeller, who is running for Secretary of State. He is a former legislator as well, so the guy knows his way around the process, around the system. He's going to be with us at 7:05. And then at 7:35, this is going to be interesting, Susie, Mary Theresa McClean from the City Republicans. Yay. She's going to be in because they have a mock caucus and a caucus training coming up.
Oh.
And anybody can go. You can be in any county, you can be anywhere, but if you want to learn how to work this process, they're going to be offering that this week, which I think is a really smart thing to do and a really, really important kind of practice for everybody.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, this year, everything may be settled by the time the presidential caucus gets to Missouri. I
Right.
mean, we likely are not going to really have a say in it, but if you want to have your voice heard, it's changing how you do it, and this is what we're doing from now on in Missouri.
Right. It's a good learning opportunity
yeah.
no matter what, because we are going to, like you said, going forward, this is what we're going to have. So you might as well know how it works.
Right. And also today you've got several of the local election boards trying to get the word out that they need people to sign up to be election judges and poll workers.
That's fun.
Not glamorous.
Oh, I've done it before, though.
Yeah, you get paid for it.
You do.
It's a long day.
It is a very long day.
And really, while you're not volunteering your time, you're not making bank on it.
Oh, no.
By any means.
No.
But it's crucial.
It's like jury duty.
So what was your experience? How many times have you done it?
I only did it once.
Which is more than most people.
It was in 2012, and it was in the general. And it was one of those things where you went to a day of training. Not a day, maybe like a couple hours of training.
Right.
And then the day of, you show up. I mean, I think we had to be there at like 5 or 5:30 at the polling place. And then just throughout the day, you were basically fulfilling several different functions of the election judges, whether you were checking people in, that sort of thing. I checked Dave Murray in.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
really? When he walks around out in public, does everybody ask him for the forecast?
I bet they do.
No one was bothering him with it that day that I recall, but I'm sure that happens quite a bit.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, so you're just there kind of processing people and helping them with the process, and you obviously vote ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do that because you're not going to be voting that day because you're not going to be at your precinct. You're where, and it is, it's not glamorous. It's not terribly exciting. Maybe it was pretty busy that day because it was a presidential general election.
Sure.
But it's just one of those things where you feel like, okay, I'm doing my part here. I'm helping out.
Yeah, and it's crucial. I mean, they always have trouble recruiting people to work those polls because a lot of people who are passionate about the elections that are happening, they want to work for the candidates or the parties.
Yep.
And, people stereotype and saying, oh, well, just go to the retirement home and, get that. But that's crucial that we get people from across the societies, to get in there and do that. And
it is.
Yeah, it's a time commitment. Like you said, you get paid a little bit for it, but you're not doing it obviously for the money. You're not making rent that day.
No.
For anything like that. But if you value the elections and that we have the ability to have them, well, then somebody needs to step up and help out.
I recommend everybody try it once. I mean, it's one election day that you're giving up, but you're doing it in civic duty, and you are learning to be part of the process, and it is critical.
Yeah, you do have to declare a party.
Yes, because they have to make sure there's an even number of parties of people from the two main parties represented.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So you got to do that. So if you want to even learn more about that, then just whatever county, or if you're in the city, just go to the local election authority, look up their website. They have stuff on it right now to say sign up to be a poll worker or election judge or whatever they say on the website. So I've done my civic duty to put that out there.
Yes. Thank you, Mike.
Yes. I'm just here to serve and not to filibuster. All right. Just ahead here, Cori Bush had a campaign kickoff and a fundraiser and this weekend. And did you see KSDK's write-up on this? It was really lengthy. I mean, there was a lot written there. And they didn't – I thought they did point out some of the anti-Semitism of one of her buddies who hugged her on stage, but we're going to fill in some of the blanks on the other. And I say this, truly asking the question, because then you all maybe disagree with me. When you look at somebody just as bad as Cori Bush is, and I don't mean just her votes, I mean who and what she is. Can you be a good, decent person and still be a Cori Bush supporter? I mean, can those two things jive at the same time, given her bigotry, given her on that? So, I mean, that's one of those things where I try to say, there are people who disagree with me who are good, fine people, I disagree with them on something, or I passionately think they're wrong about something. So this write-up just kind of shows the antics that happened on there. And one of the people she literally is embracing is somebody who unapologetically calls for genocide of Jewish people.
That's not a good look.
But for her, I think she does think it is a good look. That's why I asked the question that I asked. She's not embarrassed by that. She's fine with it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've established she's not the most savvy person.
No. And of course, it's very possible that she loses her seat this year. But
it is.
Democrats don't count on that happening. All right, let's go through some of that just ahead here, right around 6:20 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your curtain call. Get up.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, if you judge people by the company they keep, then we already know what to think of Cori Bush.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Does not speak well of her.
She is loved by outspoken bigots.
Yes.
All right. Missouri's GOP establishment is going to hear from supporters of the Freedom Caucus today. We're going to tell you about that at 6:35, and there is a filibuster happening right now.
Yeah, as we speak.
Now, here's the thing is, and we'll talk about Byron Keelin from Freedom Principle, Missouri, going to be with us at 6:35. This particular filibuster starting to rub some conservative advocates. I mean, people like the good ones. Mm-hmm. This is starting to rub them the wrong way a little bit too. So Freedom Caucus, is these are experienced politicians at the state capitol. But the question at some point is going to be fair to ask, hey guys, you sure you shouldn't keep a little bit of that powder dry right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody has their break point, Yeah.
And
they might empathize with one side or the other, but at a certain point they might feel like an added level of frustration about not being able to move forward.
Yeah. So strategy really is part of the discussion, a big part of the discussion right now. Because honestly, a lot of the feuding senators and House of Representative members, a lot of these people who are feuding with each other, they don't disagree on the majority of the issues.
No.
It's personalities and it's strategy, but there are some just establishment, mushy middle people who have held up conservative stuff.
I thought Bill Eigel made a really good point yesterday on his when he was on with you, when he was talking about the fact that both the House and the Senate last year passed IP reform, but yet it didn't get across the finish line because it didn't make it through conference, which that reflects on leadership 100%.
And that gives the leadership the ability to say, no, look, we tried, but gosh darn it, we just ran out of time, couldn't do it. And that is exactly what the Freedom Caucus from day one has been warning them about.
Yep. Yeah.
So 6:35. Let's talk to Byron about that here. It is 6:22 right now. Got Susie Moore from redstate.com in for Gabe today. Okay, KSDK had an interesting write-up about Cori Bush's re-election campaign kickoff and fundraiser. It happened over the weekend, but the story was just posted last night. And I thought it was interesting because normally I'm not going to cover everything that every congressional race does. Until we get a little closer to the primaries, and then we'll ramp it up a little bit. But it was really just sort of an extremist fest is what it looks like.
Okay.
For instance, the surprise speaker on behalf of Cori Bush was Rashida Tlaib.
Okay.
Hey, we got a big surprise. Here comes Rashida Tlaib. Well, Rashida Tlaib's crazy. And she's an extremist. We know this. I could go on and on and on about what an anti-Semite she is, etc. So that was the big thing. And, of course, then when you read all of the write-up, it started off really weird. Not Maxwell's write-up, although, Maxwell, I think, isn't always the most unbiased. He tends to show his bias at times. But people basically referring to this almost in religious terms, supporting Cori Bush in almost religious terms. Like one person said, I think of this like my church, and these are offerings we're giving to this campaign, and this is a calling, and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, stuff that you see with some conservatives too,
sure,
and even not even conservatives, but just people in certain movements on the right as well.
It's not limited to one.
So it started off weird.
Yeah.
On that. And then a little bit later on, they had he wrote about Naveen Ayesh, who is the organizer and bigot in chief of anti-Semites here in the St. Louis area. She has been a longtime activist. Mark wrote about she got up there, gave her speech in support of Cori Bush, gave her a big hug, gave her a big gift. And so literally Cori Bush is embracing this person, Susie.
Right.
Well, let's go through a couple of the tweets that she has posted over the years, which have been captured, by people who said, yeah, we better save these.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, she's never denounced any of these. She stands by all of them.
Oh, yes, she does.
Right. Here's one. I'm just reading her tweet, okay? I want to set Israel on fire with my own hands and watch it burn to ashes along with every Israeli in it. Call it what you want to call it. I don't care.
I'm not really sure how she feels about the issue. It's a little unclear.
Yeah, let's work on her direct communication.
Murky. Yeah.
But we know how she feels about Cori Bush.
Oh, she loves her.
Yeah. Hashtag crimes worthy of the rope.
Oh, okay.
Being a Jew.
Nice.
That's what she wrote as well. Let's see here. I hate them. And then a bunch of crying emojis. I hate them. 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 I hate anything that has to do with Israel. Go die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No.
That's just to say, I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to.
It's one of those. She seems nice.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This is the person who is organizing on behalf of Cori Bush, who is motivated, and of course, Cori Bush also took aim at the American Israeli Political Action Committee as well. She said, because it's, white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to basically do the, well, I'm not a bigot thing, but, this is about white supremacy because Jewish people are white now and they're white supremacists, apparently. So this is what you have with the Cori Bush campaign. And so I'll go back to my my earlier question. There are people who support candidates that I abhor. There are people who hold positions philosophically, politically, that I completely disagree with. I think they can probably come to those in some sort of reasonable logic sometimes. Other times I just don't see it. And then there are times I just have to ask the question, can these two things be true at the same time? Can you be an ardent, devoted supporter of Cori Bush and be a good, decent human being at the same time? And I mean, I'm truly asking that. That's not the radio guy just being snarky. Can those two things actually happen at the same time?
So I guess I have a couple of different thoughts about that. One is that, sometimes when it's coming down to who someone's going to vote for, the fact that they vote for somebody that you find abhorrent may not, I mean, that may just be who they feel like is the best choice given what their choices are.
Right. There's a whole lot of people not wild about the two likely presidential choices coming up.
This was where I was going to go with this. Now, I don't agree with this, but there are many people who would say that what you just said about Cori Bush is applicable to Donald Trump times 10. Now, again, I don't agree with that.
Right.
I think people have, it would take hours to get into it, but I think there are people who view him in such a light that they then transfer that on to anybody who not only supports him, but just happens to vote for him.
Right.
And that is why you've seen so many people's relationships, fracture.
I know multiple
over
people
this.
who have at some point stopped communicating with actual family.
So I think what you have to do is take it back about one step up away from the person and say, okay, why do you support Cori Bush? What is it about her that you find endearing or worthy of your support? Where are we on that? How do you feel about this odious aspect of her stances? Because that's what it comes down to. It's not about the person, it's about the positions that they take.
Right.
And I think that's where you have to make that distinction.
And see, and that's kind of where I come from when I ask the question, because her positions are hateful and bigoted.
Don't disagree.
Yeah. I mean, and so that's why I asked the question. I'm like, okay, so you're buying into somebody who will not even meet with her Jewish constituents, who looks at people as enemies, and there are enemies in this world. I mean, that's a reality of it. But who has made her entire career based on hatred and dishonesty. I mean, maybe she's crazy enough to believe some of the things she says. Otherwise, she's been called out and busted lying time and time and time again. And then, of course, there's the separate. She's wrong on all the issues, pretty much. Yeah,
I mean, I think I just think that rather than basing it on the person, you just have to say, okay, so are you in agreement that you want Israel to burn? Okay, that tells me all I need to know about you.
Right. Yep.
We don't need to have anything else to do with one another.
Right. Precisely.
I mean, that's a very clear, bright line for me. So,
yep. And that person got a big hug from Cori Bush publicly at her campaign kickoff.
I can safely say I will not be voting for Cori Bush, but she's also not in my district, so or I'm not in her district, so that saves me that. But no, that would not even be an issue if I were in her district.
So we've got that weird dance between we should take political events and politics and representation in elections personally. We should take it. It affects our lives.
Sure.
At the same time, where is the line between you're just wrong or even you're just nuts versus this is evil? And there's a line in there somewhere. I think Cori Bush has crossed it just with her hatred and her bigotry. But I wouldn't assign that to everybody I disagree with.
Sure. No. Yeah. I mean, it's probably all a matter of degrees and that sort of thing. But I agree with you. I mean, she's certainly playing footsie with people that are embracing evil. So I don't know. I don't know how far you could remove her from it.
Right. Blues Nut on Rumble says she's going to get reelected. She's going to kill St. Louis. Blues Nut, let me just say, I don't think it's just Cori Bush that if going to kill St. Louis. If St. Louis is going to be killed, don't discount Tashard Jones. Don't discount Megan Greene. A lot of people in on that. It's not just one person.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
I feel like Wesley Bell has a pretty decent chance in the primary.
I actually think he does too. I mean, I really do. And it's going to be because I've heard some Republicans who are saying, you know what, I'm going to cross over and vote in that Democratic primary.
I would if I were in that district.
If you were in that district, of course, then you don't get to vote in the race for governor. in the Republican side or any of those
Right.
as well.
Well, that's true.
So you got to pick one or the other. You can't do both.
That's
but
true.
It is perfectly legal to go vote in any primary you want in the state, even though you declare a party. You can either undeclare or
Yeah.
you can be independent, and you can still vote in those primaries.
And that's one of those situations. I mean, to me, I wouldn't even view that as like an Operation Chaos kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
no.
genuinely think the people of the first district would be better served by Wesley Bell
Right.
than Cori Bush.
Well, and that's the thing is Wesley's votes probably aren't going to be that much different, if at all, from Cori
I
Bush.
don't agree with him on much of anything.
Right. And I know Cori, and I know Wesley Bell. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I know him. He's wrong on most things. He's a couple things I can say, all right, I can see his point on a couple things. But for the most part, he's going to be just as wrong as Cori Bush, but he's not a bigot.
No.
But he's not. But he's actually going to be able to work with the people to bring, resources and things that St. Louis needs to compete for, whether it's government funding and all the things that most of it I wish they would cut anyway, but it's there. So as far as like bringing home the bacon, which is something Cori Bush's friends would never want to do for a variety of reasons, but the fact that he would be able to work within the system, even if he's pretty radical leftist himself.
He's not a bigot. He's not nuts, and he's competent.
Yeah.
He'd
He may
have
be
my
wrong.
vote.
Yeah, he may be wrong, but at least he's not all of those things.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. All right, amidst the filibuster we got going on, I want to bring up like the remember the what's his name? Ross used the old wrestling commentator. You go, we got a slobber knocker going. So we got a verbal slobber knocker going in Jefferson City. And so we've got that. And there's also going to be a rally in support of the Freedom Caucus folks that's happening today in Jefferson City. There are people heading to the Capitol probably any minute now to do this rally here in a little bit. So we're going to talk to some of the folks involved with that right around 6:36 here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hi, it's Ken. Vic will be back on Tuesday talking about the unions with right-to-work expert Mark Mix, and that's at 9:41 on Tuesday.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Governor Ron DeSantis suspending his presidential campaign.
He said there was clearly not a path for him.
101.9 and 94.1.
All the fellas are out except for this one.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
The lights are on, but you're not home. You're mine.
Well, something's happening. we got something going on in the state Senate.
You think?
Yeah.
The lights are on.
It's Jim Ross. That's the name of the old wrestling commentator I was trying to think of.
Okay.
He would go, "We got a slobber knocker on our hands here." We got our second filibuster, and they mean it on this one.
Yeah, they aren't messing around. It's 6:38 in the morning, and they've been going.
Yeah, all night long. All right, so things are breaking down even more so between the Freedom Caucus and the GOP establishment. So some of the We the People are planning to speak up today at the Capitol. We'll get to that here in about 30 seconds. By the way, News Talk STL podcast on-demand listening. Don't miss it. Whatever podcast platform you're on, please find News Talk STL. It's just the same handle on every one of them. And just hit that subscribe, and you can listen to any of the shows. You can share them. You can also get those individual interviews and features that we do. So please check that out. All right, so among those who are saying, you know what, these Freedom Caucus types, they could use a little support, and that would be Freedom Principle Missouri. And Byron Keelin joins us right now. Byron, appreciate you being on the show here again. So it's interesting that this rally for the Freedom Caucus members and what they're trying to do, I guess you could call it a protest against the establishment, GOP too, at the same time, happens to happen when there's some action going on. And we just had a greeting from the state capitol. Is that right, Stell, you said?
Yeah, Bill Eigel said hello.
Bill Eigel sends his regards to us through X or Twitter.
And he said 12 hours for the filibuster, exclamation point.
There they go.
Wow.
So, Byron, I mean, this rally, this protest was going to happen either way, but it happens to happen. People are headed to Jefferson City right now on the day when there is a showdown happening.
Yeah, well, good morning, everybody, and this is a fight that was brewing, from the last really two legislative sessions. I would say is that this is one of those fights that you knew was going to start happening, and so when the Missouri Freedom Caucus was formed, I think a couple years ago they had the Conservative Caucus in the Senate, and you had the whole fight on the 7-1 map, and you had the fight on a couple of other Parsons nominees with regards to the Health and Senior Services Director and things. And so this is a fight that finally happened, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing, but it's a bad thing too. And that the bad thing is that it's blocking initiative petition reform from being discussed. I mean, it did get a hearing yesterday. We had someone from our group down there testifying on behalf of Senator Mike Moon's bill, SJR 61, and Eigel's bill. SJR 83 on IP reform, and so we're hoping that those will get out of committee. But Rowden and O'Laughlin, I believe, overstepped their hands with this pettiness of kicking these guys off committees instead of being leaders and trying to figure out how to do this. And so our group, along with other groups around the state, are going to meet in Jefferson City today, and basically we want to take our state back. We're tired of the special interest groups. Every year we get, we've had COVID legislation blocked, we've had IP reform blocked by groups like the Missouri Realtors Association. They're constantly in the way, and we've got this pro-abortion storm that's on the horizon here. And Rowden and O'Laughlin, and I will tell you, the senators that stood behind O'Laughlin and Rowden are blocking us from protecting our state from being from these pro-abortion dark forces. And so these guys, these Freedom Caucus members and Mike Moon and even Ben Brown, they're fighting to try to protect the Constitution.
Byron, this is Susie. Do you have a sense of how many people are going to be gathering at the Capitol today, and where are you guys going to be gathering? It's not going to be outside the Capitol, right? It's going to be inside.
No, it's going to be inside. It's going to be on the second floor. It's going to start at 11 a.m. And we're anticipating, we've heard around 200 people. So we think that's a pretty good crowd for a Tuesday and for something that really just formulated really a week ago.
Yeah.
So, the grassroots groups got engaged, put together the flyers, have gotten, really good agenda going. They've got they're going to be reading, our Vice President, Kerry Wells, is going to be reading a proclamation for the group, demanding that the senators be restored to the committees, and then also demanding that no other gubernatorial appointments go forward until IP reform is passed and signed by the governor. So, what you see here is the Freedom Caucus making a compromise by allowing some of these gubernatorial appointments going through. And to tell you the truth, I almost wish they would block all of them anyway. What Parson has done to our state boards and stuff is these appointments have been pathetic on a lot of these things. And so he's leaving office. Why would we want to put someone, who's not going to be in office anymore on these commissions?
Okay, Byron, answer some pushback I'm seeing from some truly good conservative groups. One of them posted a little bit ago saying, hey, there have been hearings on good conservative legislation, school choice, and some others canceled today because of the filibuster, and they're putting the blame on the Freedom Caucus for going after these appointments, and they're saying, well, we've got good stuff that's collateral damage because of it. And that's one of the things that the messaging that the Freedom Caucus is going to have to stay ahead of. So what should they say when that critique comes?
Well, the thing is that Caleb Rowden and Cindy O'Laughlin control the flow of what comes to the floor. If instead of bringing these gubernatorial appointments to the floor, why didn't they bring these school choice bills or these educational freedom bills to the floor and discuss them? We know that the Freedom Caucus would be happy to support those bills. So the issue here, again, is Rowden and O'Laughlin, their lack of leadership. They're willing to stand up for special interest groups over the will of the voters and what we supposedly elected them to do, and that's to protect the Constitution and to pass these educational freedom bills. But they could have easily have brought those to the floor, and I guarantee you that filibuster would stop immediately for that.
Byron, I've had somebody ask me, where's your governor on this? If it's this war is going on in the Senate, and one of the things that's involved is his appointments. What's he saying about it? I haven't seen a whole lot from him. I think I saw something from him that was kind of like, well, it's unfortunate, and you hate for people not to be getting along. But I haven't really seen him take a stand on it. Have you?
No, and it's he's true to nature on this. Like I said, like I've always said, I really believe he makes Joe Biden look effective on things, because he is literally out to lunch on a lot of these things. He doesn't care. He talked about in his State of the State address how he is putting people first, but yet he refused to do anything about St. Louis City crime with regards to Kim Gardner. He had the power to remove her 2.5 years ago, or to allow the Attorney General to take over the prosecution of cases in her office, and he just sat back on his hands. And this is typical of this governor. He's failed to show up to lead, and what you see is what you get in the Senate and House leadership too. They see the governor not doing anything, and they figure, well, we might as well not do anything either.
All right, Byron, I just got a minute or so left here. The information about the rally is on your all's website, so let's give that out, because the fact of the matter that this filibuster is happening right now may be motivating a few other people to say, hey, you're going to the Capitol, let me jump in the car with you. So you may actually get a few more, and I'm hoping that I can put you on the spot and say, hey, send us a few pictures from that so we can put them up and put it on our social media as well.
I will definitely try to get you some pictures. I actually, unfortunately, am not able to go. I have other commitments that I have to tend to today. But it is, you can go to freedomprincipalmo.org, and on our website, on our main page there is not only information about the rally, but there is a petition that we're doing, an online petition to demand that Senate leaders O'Laughlin and Rowden resign their leadership positions. We've got over almost 1,100 signatures now on that petition. And, we just we know that several of our members are going down. There's one guy that told me that he's got a caravan going down of about 20 to 30 people. So they're going out of St. Charles today. So they're going to be out there, and we will do our best to get you some pictures and send them to you.
That's great. Byron, appreciate it, from Freedom Principal Mo, and we'll look forward to that, and we will be talking about what happened on tomorrow's show.
Great. Well, look forward, again, freedomprincipalmo.org, and you guys have a good day.
All right, thanks Byron. All right, 314-912-1019. By the way, if you are going to that, Freedom Principal Mo going to send us some pictures, but I'd love to get yours as well. You can send those to us here at News Talk STL. I'm at mike@newstalkstl.com. It's real easy to remember. Send me your pictures, people. Send them to Katie, send them to Tony, send them to Stell, send them to Vic, send them to anybody.
Share them on social media, tag us.
Yep, tag us on social media. That's perfect, exactly. All right, just ahead here, I know this is going to be a little bit of a surprise. Going to go over a few of the headlines in the news. Turns out there's some corruption and anti-Semitism in the United Nations.
No.
I know. Brace yourself. I've got the update for you in about 3 minutes right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, this is one of those songs where whenever it comes on, you just have to turn the radio up.
Yeah.
If you don't, I would think you'd need to, like, question some things in your life.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're driving.
Yes. I mean, it's like somebody wants to have a conversation with you and this song comes on. The correct response is...
It's a classic.
Yeah. All right. Okay, anti-Semitic corruption within a United Nations organization?
No.
What? Oh, color me shocked. Okay. Support for the Freedom Caucus on the way to Jefferson City, literally right now, most likely. And you can use your passive-aggressive disdain for your ex to help one of St. Louis's attractions.
Oh?
It's for the kids.
Oh?
All right, it is 6:52 right now. By the way, at 7:05, we're talking elections. Shane Schoeller, running for Secretary of State. He is currently the Greene County Clerk, which oversees all the elections in one of the largest counties in Missouri. Former state legislator and candidate for Secretary of State, going to be with us here. All right, let's get to the things happening around the area, around the world here. Many countries, the United States is not among them as of right now, but many countries suspending their funding of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which is generally referred to as UNRWA, following new information that about a dozen of their aid workers actually took part in Hamas's attack on Israel. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, Republican out of Florida, was on Hannity last night, and he says the U.S. just needs to stop funding the UN, especially following this information.
This is a horrible, horrible organization that's done a lot of damage, and the Biden administration has given them, I think it's more than that, I read over $1 billion since he's been in office that he's given to UNRWA, which most of that has gone directly to Hamas to build these tunnels and to buy weapons.
And of course, in response, the leadership at UNRWA is saying essentially, Susie, no, just keep sending money. We promise we'll investigate.
Yeah, I don't think that's good enough. But I'm pretty sure the U.S. has paused its funding as of right now.
We have. Okay.
Yeah, we have. But how long does that pause last?
No, until the headlines move to something
exactly.
else.
That's the thing I would be concerned about. But yeah, that's something I think that we wrote about at Red State. So we're among those that have paused the funding. At least it got their attention.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, an Illinois Elections Board will discuss whether to keep or remove Donald Trump from the primary ballot. Yep, we're doing this again, Susie.
Yeah.
This is over the January 6th stuff, the riots there. Okay, so the State Board of Elections is going to discuss that question at their meeting today, which was a regularly scheduled meeting, so they didn't call a meeting for this.
Right.
This is just on the agenda. So what's happened to lead up to this is some left-wing activists have started their petition, and it doesn't take much to get it on the radar. There was a hearing last week from both sides of the Trump question, and the hearing officer, who is actually a retired Republican judge, issued a report and a recommendation that Donald Trump be removed from the primary ballot on this. Now, this has no legal force whatsoever. This doesn't have any administrative force. It's just it went before this hearing officer, and he issued his report saying, here's what I recommend based on what I heard here.
Okay.
8-person board is made up of 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. Of course, Susie, the U.S. Supreme Court is considering this case in other states, which is going to decide it for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you guys were talking about the timing of that. I was
Mhm.
going to look up when that is because it is going to be on an expedited basis.
Yeah.
I know there's some hearings coming up, I want to say next week before the Supreme Court, some oral arguments, and it may be among those. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to look. While we're on a break, I will take a look.
There
and
we
so
go.
We'll have a better idea of the timetable there.
Yep. All right. Also, speaking of other things nationally, negotiations underway in Congress for a new border security package. I think at this point, it's like, you know what? Elections are coming. It's not going to get done, but they're going to keep doing some debates and that sort of thing. Senator Eric Schmidt was on Ingram Angle last night on Fox, and he says President Biden not to be trusted about anything related to the border because he's not exercised the authority that he does have to deal with the border.
He reversed remain in Mexico. He ended that. He paid contractors $140,000 a day to not construct the wall. He's abusing parole, and he's sued Texas, who's actually tried to secure the border. He has no interest in it, and the idea that he's going to double pinky swear and really promise next time with some new language to do it is ridiculous.
So much of this, Susie, comes down to Democrats want to link this with the international aid, Israel, Taiwan, Ukraine, and so many Republicans are saying, let's just vote on them all separately.
Right. Yeah. And it really kind of makes you wonder. It's like, why do those issues? Why should those be tied together?
Right. So they can
play politics.
So they can play politics with it. Precisely.
Exactly.
Okay. Want to honor your ex on this upcoming Valentine's Day?
I don't really know.
There's a way to honor them. Okay, but don't make a snap decision just yet here. Okay. So for a small fee, and we're talking 5, 10, 15, 25, 50, whatever you want, the St. Louis Aquarium will name a vegetable, a cricket, or a mealworm after your ex, and then feed it to one of their critters.
I feel like that's just asking for trouble.
They'll send you a digital Valentine's Day card as part of what they're calling the Love Bites fundraiser.
Okay.
That's pretty creative.
It is creative. It is creative. I just see that creating issues.
Funds raised will support the St. Louis Aquarium Foundation.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Question: do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. American forces in the Mideast have been targeted more than 160 times since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, but now that 3 U.S. service members have been killed in an Iran-backed drone strike in Jordan. President Biden is under growing pressure to retaliate. And John Kirby with the White House National Security Council insists there will be a U.S. response.
We do not seek another war. We do not seek to escalate. But we will absolutely do what is required to protect ourselves.
The drone strike on a remote U.S. outpost killed 3 members of an Army Reserve unit out of Georgia. Continuing to advance its weapons program, North Korea has firing more cruise missiles into the sea. That's according to the South Koreans. A Republican-led House committee expected to advance the Mayorkas impeachment effort today. Could be taken up by the full House next week. Things looking up for Republicans in Michigan, a state they hope to flip from blue to red in November.
Despite reports of recent turmoil in the state GOP party, Republicans have several things in their favor as they seek to flip a Michigan seat that could help them retake control of the Senate. A poll, meanwhile, from the Hill and Decision Desk HQ shows former President Trump leading Joe Biden by several points. In another bad indicator for the White House and Democrats, some observers expect the state's sizable Muslim population to shy away from supporting Biden in November, angry over his support for Israel in the war against Hamas. Bob Agnew reporting.
Build that wall. 52% of the voters polled by Quinnipiac University favor securing the southwest border with a wall. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures are down 66 points. NASDAQ futures off 23 points, and the S&P futures 8 points lower ahead of this morning's opening bell. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Hey, guess what today is?
What day is it?
It is
Temp Tag Tuesday.
Well, it is that too. in North County, driving around on your expired temp tags. Popo gonna get you. But today is National Help America Vote Day.
Man, I wish I could have gotten you a card. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's my card?
Yeah. Does Hallmark make those? Probably.
They made a movie about it. All right. I'm Mike Ferguson. RedState.com's Susie Moore is in for Gabe today. And, of course, Del Ponticus is here. By the way, don't forget News Talk STL has some fantastic weekend programs. There's one that's phenomenal. It's called American Viewpoints. You ever heard of this one, Susie?
Oh, maybe.
It's amazing.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Hosted by me.
Oh, yeah.
But by the way, I've also got an American Viewpoints podcast. So after the show airs, I post it up on podcast format. So if you could do me a solid and look for American Viewpoints with Mike Ferguson on the podcast platform, wherever you are, I'm on all of them. And just hit subscribe. And what'll happen is, once a day, Monday through Thursday, you will get a short but interesting conversation with somebody far more interesting than me. So that's a pretty
good deal.
Yeah, about eight and a half to 9.5 minutes. That is it. Nice, short, quick listen, and it's something that you may want to send to somebody else. So
there you go.
Check that out. All right, election year this year, Missouri is going to be picking a new chief elections officer.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, because Jay Ashcroft is obviously running for governor, so he's vacating the office of Secretary of State. We've got a contested primary on the Republican side of this. One of those candidates is former Missouri Speaker Pro Tem and also currently the Greene County Clerk, so he's actually the only one who oversees any elections in the race right now, and that's Shane Schoeller. And Shane, good to chat with you again, my friend. Thanks for being on the program. Let me start with kind of assessing where we are when it comes to Missouri elections. A lot of reforms have been passed over the last few years. So as when it comes to the security and the integrity of elections in Missouri, my take on it, Shane, is that we're actually in pretty good shape. How do you assess it?
No, I don't disagree. I'm glad that they ensured that the paper ballot is always going to be the official ballot. And they really, the election integrity bill, I was president of the County Clerk Association when that passed, so I was part of that. And one of the things they did that I've been saying for a long time was we need photo ID to be photo ID. You may remember after 2016 when the voters voted for it, for whatever reason, they continued to allow paper forms of documentation to be allowed on the day that voters checked in. I don't think that's what the voters were voting for when they voted to put that in the Constitution. So that was taken care of. And, of course, if you don't have a photo ID, you can still vote a provisional ballot. So there was some really good integrity measures. They outlawed drop boxes. One of the things I think we can do to improve, and a lot of folks don't know this, is when we get absentee ballots mailed back to us, it's best practice. I think most election officials do it. We check the signature in the outer envelope. But what surprises a lot of people is they find that that's not actually in the state law. We really need to get that into our state law to make sure we continue to do everything we can to protect the election. So if someone is not doing that, they can be held accountable.
Shane, this is Susie Moore. One of the issues that comes up, I think, frequently is the idea of kind of cleaning up the voter rolls and kind of going through them. If there is a process to determine if there are voters still on the rolls who are either no longer living or no longer in the area, what is the best practice for that, in your view?
Well, we do a number of things here in Greene County. For example, we regularly check the obituaries just to make sure we haven't missed any. Of course, we get Social Security information for those who have passed away, but occasionally something gets missed, so we go through and check that. The other thing we're doing is we work with our assessor, and so anytime there's an update in terms of property that's changed, we're then reaching out to those individuals to make sure they get their voter registration forms updated, and then we're continually working with the National Change of Address program, but it's really a comprehensive effort. One of the things I think we really need to look at as a state, and I've said this for a while, is I think right now we get reimbursed about 6 cents per transaction each time we're going to do any type of a change to anybody's voter registration information. We really need to look and see if we can find a greater way to be able to fund that effort so that local election authorities have more resources to be able to do what you're saying.
Yeah, now I want to follow up on that. We're visiting with Shane Schoeller, who's currently the Greene County clerk, but a former state legislator as well, running for Secretary of State. When it comes to keeping up, a lot of news has been made lately of the state auditor critiquing the current Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, over withdrawing from the ERIC program. We had Jay Ashcroft on the program saying, I don't need the ERIC program. I can still keep up with the voter rolls. And so when it comes to everything you just said, as far as those resources that you have connected with in Greene County, are there statewide equivalents of that to make sure that we have as clean a voter rolls as possible? Because, we don't want to unduly remove an active voter. I'd rather make sure that I would rather err on the side of keeping active voters on than just wipe everybody out and then try to figure that out later. I mean, I don't want to, that to me is more important. So what's the statewide equivalent to take what's happening right now, make it more efficient and more accurate?
I think, again, Secretary of State, after he decided to leave ERIC, a decision that I certainly understood why he made that decision. And he has, his office has worked with us in terms of the work that we're doing. But right now, I think one of the biggest challenges a lot of people realize, especially when you get into your third-class counties, those are oftentimes your smaller counties. What they don't realize is your local election authority has not just overseen elections. They're overseeing the budget process. They're overseeing accounts payable receivable. They're doing tax administration. They're doing licensing. They're doing record retention. One of the things that happens is a lot of times voter registration efforts is other duties as assigned. And so that's something where I think we really need to look at as a state and say, if we're really concerned about voter registration and keeping that information up to date, that goes back to what I was saying earlier, is a lot of counties don't have a lot of local revenue to be able to fund that type of effort because people are concerned about public safety and roads. That's where I think the legislature can come in and say, we're going to help fund that effort more so that that can be a first priority for someone in a local election authority's office, meaning the county clerk, rather than other duties as assigned.
Shane, you mentioned earlier that you'd like to see some legislation that kind of tightens up the absentee ballot verification process.
Yes.
Are there any other measures that you could see as workable? And I know that's a big question this session, as far as potentially getting some positive movement in terms of shoring up election integrity.
Well, I think the other thing is we really need to make it clear in our Constitution that if you're going to vote in any election in the state of Missouri, especially a local election, you have to be a citizen of this country, because we're seeing other states where local municipalities are allowing people to vote in local elections. I think that's something that we need to make very clear. You may be here legally, but if you're going to have the privilege to vote, you need to become a citizen, because I think that's one of the great things about being a citizen of this great country is you get the opportunity to vote, and I don't think we should be giving that away to people who are not citizens.
Yeah, and that's interesting because somebody may say, what, do we have a big problem with that in Missouri? But that sounds like what you're saying is, hey, we are seeing it in other areas. Let's get out ahead of it, because I could see, Kansas City or St. Louis or Columbia or one of the college towns saying, you know what, gosh darn it, just because they're not citizen, they should be able to vote on, city council or board of aldermen
Local
or something
taxing
on
provision.
that. Yeah, so I think it's interesting that you say, okay, well, if we put it in the state constitution, these are the rules. Nobody is immune. We just make sure that we preserve elections for those who have taken the step of citizenship. And I think, Shane, that's probably one of those things where a lot of people don't realize that that's, that is even a possibility in a red state.
Exactly. And I think it's one of the things I continue to hear people justify, say, well, they're paying taxes. Well, I go to other countries, and not that I do that very often, but if I go to another country and pay taxes, that doesn't give me the right to vote in that country. I think you have to show that truly to be a citizen, that you take those necessary steps legally and then become a citizen, then you get that privilege to vote, not just justification they're paying taxes. And I think that we have to make sure that here in Missouri, people understand that we do take pride in our citizenship. And if you're going to get the opportunity to vote, you have to be a citizen.
Okay, we're visiting with Shane Schoeller, who's currently the Greene County Clerk, former state rep, now running for Secretary of State, Republican primary. You've got not a super crowded, but a reasonably busy primary in your race, Shane. So, there's a lot of things that the Secretary of State's office is specifically tasked to do, and not all of them are particularly ideological or partisan. There are a lot of the ways administrative as well. But why is it important that a conservative be in that role when so many of the things are process oriented for the Secretary of State's office?
Absolutely. What as county clerk, we do a lot of administrative roles to exactly what you said. They're not necessarily, one party or another. You're just serving the public. But I think it's important when you think about just what happens in terms of business services. That's a huge part of what the Secretary of State's office does in terms of serving the business community across the state. I want to make sure we have someone that understands we want to do everything we can to help the entrepreneur, the business itself, be able to be successful and be able to make sure we continue that just through the simple work of business services with the Secretary of State's office. The other area that I think we really have to think about is investment protection. As you well know, Securities Division is in the Secretary of State's office. We need to make sure that every time people think about investing their hard-earned dollars, they know that it's a safe investment. And if there is someone trying to prey on those investors, you have someone who's ready to shut them down. I think that's critically important. And then the other area that I didn't used to think was controversial, but it's become more controversial, is the Library Division. As you well know, the Secretary of State's office works with the local libraries across the state. I'm a big believer in terms of what local libraries do, but they should not be pushing an agenda, and they need to make sure that they're just serving the public. And so one of the things I'm encouraging people to do is make sure you're familiar with who your library board is. Maybe even take a chance at saying, hey, I'd like to serve on the library board, and talk to your county commission in your area or the library itself and say, I'd like to have an opportunity to do this. But we need to have more eyes on what's happening in our public libraries, and I would like to do that as the Secretary of State.
All right. What's the website, Shane, social media? Appreciate you being on the program again.
It's Shane for SOS for the website, and then just Shane Schoeller at both Facebook and Twitter, or X, I guess you call it.
That's right. All right. Shane Schoeller, former state rep, current Greene County Clerk. I will point out the only one of the candidates who actually oversees elections right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Shane, we'll talk to you again soon, my friend.
Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, 314-912-1019. Interesting question. One of the things the lawmakers are dealing with that I found a news story on it, but it's not headlines. We're talking about children and marriage right now in the state law?
In Missouri?
In Missouri.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I heard about it in Kentucky. No, that was about cousins. Never mind.
Right. No. This is about
I'm not joking.
under 18. We're actually talking about minors and marriage in 2024. I didn't even know this was still a thing.
Is this a thing?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the law is currently in Missouri, and
Okay.
you may be surprised.
Okay.
So we'll do that around 7:21 here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Columbo and Katie.
Is Joe Biden's weakness on the world stage about to plunge us into war? We'll talk about it Tuesday, plus the latest drama in Jeff City with Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com at 2:20.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns. Whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today, solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Tim Jones here to tell you it's officially landscape lighting season at Pro Outdoor. To see some of their incredible lighting work, visit their website, ProOutdoor.com. They offer low-voltage landscape lighting that really makes your home stand out from your neighbors. If you're looking for accent lighting, path lighting, or wanting to expand your outdoor living space, or just looking for a little more security around your home, the team at Pro Outdoor are the ones to call. Pro Outdoor can take care of all your outdoor needs, including lawn fertilization, irrigation installation and service, as well as landscape lighting. They're offering some great end-of-year specials. Be sure to call them today. Schedule a consultation. That's ProOutdoor.com.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Missouri lawmakers are thinking about changing the law regarding marriage. Why are we even talking about child marriage in 2024?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was surprised to see this debate because there was actually some changes made to Missouri law in, I say recent years, it's probably been 10 years or so, but there was kind of a loophole left that they're debating now. Well, not at the moment because there's a filibuster in the state Senate, but
ain't nothing getting debated right now.
Yeah, in this session, shall we say.
Sure.
All right, on this Help America Vote Day, you can get a practice run being part of a caucus. Now listen, Republican, Democrat, Independent, even that guy who posted a big old screed against us on Facebook right now. He's welcome to come to the mock caucus this week. Absolutely. Come on out. How Missouri votes has changed. We're going to make sure you have the chance to be ready. We're going to have that conversation at 7:35. Very, very, very useful here. Okay, Missouri lawmakers, by the way, Susie Moore's in for Gabe Pfeiffer. That's Susie Moore from redstate.com.
That's Susie Moore. There is more than one.
Smoozy Q on Twitter.
That's me.
And then, of course, Del Ponticus is here as well. Okay, so under Missouri law right now, those who are 16 and 17 years old can get married if they have a parent's note, permission, as long as the person they are marrying is under the age of 21.
Okay.
So that's the carve out. That's the loophole right now because it was, I said 10 years ago, but it may have been longer than that. Missouri was one of the states that actually allowed underage marriages. And they changed that because there were some horror stories, of, 14, 15-year-old, generally girls, being brought to Missouri because they could in a permissive way. And sometimes it was, an older guy who didn't want to get charged with a crime and, brought his pregnant teenage girlfriend to our state and some others to get out of that. So we know that sort of thing has happened. Matter of fact, one of the sponsors of this bill, Holly Rader, state senator, who's also running for lieutenant governor, she got married at the age of 15.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she's commenting on her experience as far as wanting to change the law. So what's being proposed right now is that if you are not 18, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, doesn't matter what your parents say, you will not be issued a marriage license in the state of Missouri. No exceptions.
Yeah.
Now, I personally cannot think of a reason why I would want a 16 or 17-year-old getting married, but is a hard, fast rule like that the right approach for the state?
I'm not sure. And I guess where I have the hesitation is that as of right now, you still have to be 16, but 16, 17-year-olds can get married with a parent's permission.
Correct. And what they're talking about right now is eliminating that. Yeah.
I'm wondering how many people are availing themselves of that provision to make this additional change really critical. Because
Yeah.
it seems to me that the situation where you're going to have somebody of that age range that's wanting to get married and the parent is approving, generally it's going to be a situation where there's an unplanned pregnancy
Mhm.
or, possibly someone entering the military and needing to leave to go,
Right.
move away and they, but it would seem to me that those are rare circumstances.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I don't know if I feel like that's an added provision that's really necessary.
I found the article in the Missouri Independent, which is definitely a left of center media outlet, but they do cover stuff that others don't always cover.
They do.
And the opposition to this sort of ban on child marriage, which I cannot believe that we're actually debating child marriage in
Right.
2024. But they point out that some of those who are opposed to the ban invoke parental rights. Now, for instance, somebody may say, well, you don't have a right to do some things to your own kid, which is true.
Sure.
But when you mentioned, a pregnant 16-year-old, pregnant 17-year-old, that sort of thing. You know what? You're going to do the right thing, going to marry him, that sort of thing. They invoke parental rights. And another interesting argument, religious liberty, because there are some faiths that do permit and even encourage
That's
that.
true.
I think that's gross, but that's why I'm not part of those religions.
Yeah.
Is there a valid religious freedom argument? I don't know that there is, but I'm curious.
No, I mean, I think there is an argument to be made whether or not it's sufficient to meet whatever standard needs to be met. I know I'm just thinking back on this. I mean, we're going way back, but I have a family member who, we're talking about in the 80s, was moving out of state and their girlfriend was 17.
Right.
And they'd been together. They'd already been dating for a couple of years. And that was a situation where the parents gave permission for the 17-year-old to get married legally so that she could move out of state with him. There was no pregnancy involved. It was just that was the time and that was the plan. And there was nothing other than the fact that they were young. There wasn't really anything untoward about it. I'm having trouble understanding why what's the number? I would like to see the number of people who are actually availing themselves of this.
By all accounts, and I can't see a whole lot, but it doesn't look like there are very many at all. There's a group called Unchained at Last, which I know nothing about. In 2021, they found that between 2000 and 2018, 8,000 underage people were married in Missouri.
Okay, so in 18 years, 8,000 people. So that's 4,000 couples.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, what is the objection to 16 and 17-year-olds getting married if it's with their parents' permission? That's what I'm not getting.
Well, and there are, I mean, all kidding aside, it wasn't that unusual 75 years ago.
Oh, no.
Or 100 years ago. That was fairly normal.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was very normal.
I don't know that it was
I have
right.
ancestors that were married younger than that, but that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to figure out what the objection is.
Yeah. In this article here, there was a lobbyist for the Missouri Baptist Convention, way to go Baptist, who testified in opposition to the bill. And he is quoted as saying, "We certainly have empathy for those who have experienced negative consequences to marry at such an early age. However, I can see a few rare circumstances where that might be appropriate." Sure. And he says he's a minister. I don't know anything about him, but he says he's never conducted a marriage ceremony for a minor. And Curtis Trent, the Republican state senator, was asking for details on which things could possibly lead to that. And he asked the question, I guess I'm just not seeing what situations this would prevent. You've tried to identify some rare circumstances where the bill might be too restrictive, and I'm not sure if they've identified any yet. And then this lobbyist says, to close the door totally just seems too much. I think we ought to certainly tighten it up. And so basically what we've got is, where is the line? Now, listen, I know some 40-year-olds who are not mature enough to get married.
Right.
So it's not even.
Oh no, and I want to be
that.
clear. I think I think it's a very unwise decision to be getting married that young.
Yeah.
But I also understand that there are circumstances where that might be the best decision under those circumstances. So I don't know. I'm having trouble getting behind this.
Well, BC, this is one of the things where when you study this stuff really closely, and I don't mean child marriage, I mean like lawmaking, legislation, policy, things like that, there are a lot of people who say there ought to be a law. You see something like, you picture a 14-year-old girl, your little niece, your grandchild, your daughter. I think of like my daughter when she was that age, and it's a horrifying image of something like that happening. But then you also say, wait a minute, this really is also about the role of government as well. I'm not losing any sleep if they ban marriage certificates for anybody under 18. I mean, I'm just not losing any sleep over that at all. But is there a fair question to say, well, wait a minute, but could there be, or could you say a judge would have to approve in certain circumstances or something like that?
Yeah.
Or is it okay now where if you're under the age of 18 and you're at least 16, that a parent can sign off and you're okay?
Here's the other thing. We allow for emancipation at 16, do we not?
That's true. Yeah.
So you could allow a 16-year-old to be emancipated, but you couldn't allow them to get married with their parents' permission? That makes no sense to me.
That's an interesting point. I never thought about that.
They can have a job, they can drive a car, but we're not going to okay them getting married if the parents okay it.
Yeah.
I think that's government overreach.
And
my libertarian streak's coming out.
Right. And see, that's the thing, though, is that, but there's a lot of people that get caught up in the emotional argument.
Sure.
And a lot of times you don't get past that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're worried about abuse of people or abuse of underage people, the prevention of the marriage isn't protecting against abuse. I mean, you don't have to have a marriage certificate to abuse somebody.
Correct.
So,
yeah, precisely. Interesting conversation happening there.
Yep.
All right, just taking a little break from the filibuster.
Do
All right, the way that we vote in Missouri for president is changing. You can get a practice run at it this week. We're going to tell you how to do that in about 2.5 minutes right after this information segment on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I like supporting local companies that give back to the community. For more than 40 years, Vincent's Jewelers has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. So I'm personally asking that when you're shopping for jewelry, give Vincent's a chance. And in turn, Vincent's will give even more to our community. On Olive, just east of 270. New specials every day on vincentsjewelers.com or Vincent's Facebook.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
This should come as no surprise, but there's a network of leftist organizations all making sure that Trump is not reelected. Oh, really, Larry? You're telling us that? Yes, but I'm adding content for you. The secretary of the libertarian-leaning Republican Liberty Caucus has been doing research on these groups and found out that they went to work to crush Trump right after the 2016 election when he defeated Hillary. And they went after the MAGA populism immediately. Now they have this Democracy Alliance, they call it, political activist networks, all left-wing, all anti-Trump, even some charitable nonprofits, all mimicking the Tea Party's grassroots coalition. They are calling themselves Indivisible. And they're pushing the primary mission, defeat MAGA, save democracy. You hear it over and over again, don't you? Yes, they repeat it over and over in an echo chamber, all out to defeat Trump. Well, as I said at the beginning, this should not come as a surprise. But now there's more information of how long they've been active, how they've been after Trump from the very beginning, regardless of what he was going to do. And now you are officially informed. Officially warned.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct and as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place, and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
Hey St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. My new primetime show will explore the collaboration between corrupt media and our corrupted political system. From manipulated elections, open borders, mandated medicines, and unconstitutional lockdowns, what is going on?
The Rob Carter Show.
Let's talk about it on The Rob Carter Show. Join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on News Talk STL.
Rob Carter, live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so whether Missouri voters end up having much of a say in the Republican presidential nomination race remains to be seen. Probably not. It's probably going to be decided by the time the caucuses get here. But either way, how you get to have your voice heard has changed.
Yes.
And Susie, I said that in the past tense. The law has changed when it comes to the presidential process. In Missouri, it's a caucus state now.
Correct.
So, was it?
Presidential caucus.
Presidential, right,
Yes.
yeah, because we're going to differentiate that from the statewide races as well. So we've got the how-to information for you right now, because today is National Help America Vote Day, it turns out.
Well, then we need to help voters.
That's right. And so that's Mary Theresa McClean from the St. Louis City Republicans that you're hearing right now. Susie Moore from RedState.com in for Gabe today. Stell is over here. He's behaving himself today. Have you noticed that?
He's being kind of
trying my best.
Yeah.
He's shy and retiring.
Go Stell.
Show's not over yet.
I was going to say, we got a little time for him to get spicy.
Okay, so Mary Theresa, here's what you all are doing, which I think is great, is later this week, you've got essentially a practice run, a mock caucus coming up, but you've got the how-to. And I know there's a lot of people who are going to say, I'm not going to worry about it. You know, the presidential race, we're probably not going to have much of a say. But it's a bigger picture than just what's happening this year, because how we have a say in the presidential races now has completely changed. And we need to know what we're doing here.
Exactly right. And, prior to just a few years ago, I've never thought about a caucus. I've never been involved in a caucus. But as chair, that's my job, is to make sure this caucus goes flawlessly. I'm like, okay, that's a big gulp right there.
Big gulp because we haven't. I mean, there have been caucuses in Missouri as a procedural manner, but these actually count for the delegate votes this time.
Oh, yeah. And, it's going to sound like a tiny amount. Why would you care? The city of St. Louis, which, by the way, is its own county, we have 11 delegates. So it's our job on March 2nd to have a slate of 11 delegates with 11 alternates move forward to the CD 1 and 2 caucus, which will happen a month later, the first Saturday of April. So it's very important that we get all of our everything done according to the rules. And the rules are a lot. There's a lot of rules, and but we're working through them, and we've had a lot of help. Chris Howard, who has put this together for the state this go round, he has been very helpful. I've been to a couple of his trainings, and in fact, back I think it was in October, he did one out in Fenton, and there was a mock caucus at the end, and I thought, oh, this is exactly what we need for the city, and so he has agreed. Thursday night on February 1st at our regular business meeting. We're going to make it very short so that he can then get into the training, the caucus training, and then we are going to do a mock caucus. And very, very excited about that.
Yeah, one of the things that, and Chris is great, and we've talked to him before. I actually had him on, I think, as a guest here on News Talk STL like a couple months ago. But one of the things that he's emphasized, and I think is really helpful for people to know, is that this time around they've set it up and they've determined what the rules are ahead of time, which is why this is such a great opportunity because people can go and learn the process. But it's not a situation where people are going to show up the day of the caucus and there's going to be a whole process to go through just to get the rules established. It's the process is already established. The purpose of showing up on March 2nd is to actually do the caucusing for the candidates, not try to figure out the rules before you get going.
Yeah, and we really appreciate that he has done that. We owe him a lot. You know, anytime you are in a leadership position, you're going to have people that criticize the way you do things. But I'm very pleased with what he's done and what he's doing for the city, as far as coming and helping us do this because. His time is valuable, just like everybody else's. And 11 delegates, the county has 4, 5, 6 times that many. But 11 delegates, they matter.
Right.
They do matter.
That's the voice of the Republicans in the city.
Mm-hmm. And we have them. We have Republicans in the city.
I've seen them. I know it's true.
They're not
exist.
Unicorns.
You're right.
So, Mary, if someone comes from a different state and has participated in a caucus in another state, do we do it the same here in Missouri, or do states have different styles for their caucuses?
I think they're all different. They go right according to their own state. They're the way that the people want their caucus to be handled. Our caucus is not all just one day. We have caucus. It starts at the county level, and the city being its own county, we're having our own caucus, and then a month later. It goes to the congressional districts. They have their caucuses, and then a month later it goes to the state.
Yeah. So we're visiting with Mary Theresa McClean from the St. Louis City Republicans. Okay, so just to kind of clarify, this coming Thursday, which is your normal city Republican meeting
right,
anyway.
First Thursdays, yes.
And you're going to have Chris Howard coming out, and he's going to do kind of a primer, kind of a Caucus 101.
Caucus 101.
And then you get to go through the process, and somebody says, oh, man, I wish I could be part of that, but I live in Franklin County. I live in Jefferson County. Can they come out and at least get the information and do the practice run with you?
They sure can, and we invite them to come because all caucuses across the state of Missouri will be run the very same. Each county doesn't have its own rules.
Right.
So if you're in Franklin County, if you're in Warren County, if you're in Cole County, wherever in the state, if you happen to be in the city of St. Louis 2 nights from now, come on and participate in this mock caucus.
What if they're a Democrat?
They can't participate, but they can view. Our meetings are open to the public, and we don't require that you give your party affiliation to be at our meetings. And in fact, the day of the caucus on March 2nd, there's a place for people to come and just spectate.
Right.
Well, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And where is the meeting held on Thursday?
At the St. Louis Police Officers Association Hall at 3710 Hampton, near Chippewa. And it's where we have our monthly meetings. Right. And every chance I get, I give a shout out to the SLPOA. They make that space available for us, and that has been a reason that we have been able to grow like we have over the last 4 years. We've been there, I think, about 3 years. And they give us other nights that we can go and do trainings. It's we just thank them so much.
Couple things. One, this is only for the presidential race. want
Just
to point out.
presidential.
So
yes.
when it comes to the race for governor, the race for any other statewide offices, state representative,
That'll
Congress,
happen in August.
Yep. Those are normal primaries.
Right.
Nothing has
Yep.
changed on
Mhm.
this. So we're talking
Exactly
about
right.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I want to point out on this as well is that there probably aren't going to be all of these how-tos 4 years from now. So if somebody says, well, it doesn't matter now. I mean, look at what's happening with the race, and who knows what the race is going to look like, by March. At this point, you still need to know how to do it.
Yes, this mock caucus, I think is going to be so valuable, not just for this year, but for moving forward. Of course, in 4 years, we might go back to not having a caucus, but if we do, and this caucus procedure works out really well, it might be something that we adopt and build upon in future years. Yes, but I just had an idea. I hadn't even thought about this before. But if someone is listening and they have a high schooler at home, bring them.
Yeah,
This would be
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're a civics teacher, I don't even know if they have civics classes, but if you're a teacher and you want to bring some of your students, please do. And that police officers hall holds a lot of people.
Oh, it does. Yeah,
And,
there's plenty of room in there.
And it would be very exciting to see young people come and parents bringing them. This is a great community service, the mock caucus. It really is.
Agreed. I think that, I know that the word is getting out that some people are aware that we're doing a caucus this year as opposed to the primary, but a lot of people aren't. And I know the Democrats are doing, I guess they're doing a primary.
They're basically doing a mail-in primary, essentially, is what they're doing. They're just
mailing it in.
Yeah, they're just doing their own thing.
Yeah. But, anybody, like you said, Democrats, independents, anybody can come observe. And I would think that if you are somebody who's engaged politically at all and wants to have a say in the process, this is a really good way to find out how it's going to all go down so that when people do show up on March 2nd, it's not just mass chaos confusion.
Right. Exactly right. And from conversations I've had with a few people that have been in, I think we had a caucus back in 2012 or 2008.
Right.
Anyway, apparently it was quite a lot of confusion.
Right. Well, because what happened back then is we were still a primary state, but there were always caucuses on the calendar. But generally speaking, what happened in Missouri was the caucuses met to select the actual delegates who then would go and reflect what the primary voters had said. Well, then what had happened is a number of people who supported Ron Paul back in those days figured out that there was nothing in the law that bound the delegates to the primary vote. And so they learned the rules of the caucuses. They learned how they worked. And they basically went in to take over and get Ron Paul delegates, even though Ron Paul didn't win the primary, because they took with the caucus process. And so that's where that confusion was.
I see.
And
Okay.
so now we've just done away with the primary. The caucuses are the caucuses.
Right. And we've done away with the ability to come in and change up the rules at the caucus.
Right.
They're already set.
Yeah, there were a lot of, they came in and then, as I understand it, they came in and they basically said, we're going to make the motion to suspend these rules. We're going to elect this set of leadership. And so like the county leaderships and all over the place, they were basically deposed or displaced.
Deposed.
They were displaced. Yeah. By people who were using the Roberts rules. And I don't think anything the Ron Paul folks did was actually illegal or against the rules.
No.
They just knew the rules and then came in and caused a bunch of chaos through the rules.
Well, that's America.
Right.
That is your right as an American.
Yes.
And that's a shining example of why it's good to go to something like a mock caucus
Yes,
so that you know the rules
right.
ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah, although this time, of course, with the absence of a primary, it comes down to you're going to do the caucuses the way we're doing the caucuses the way they were actually intended, because our great grandparents grew up in a time when the caucuses were what decided things. You went to the county seat, you hashed it out, you sent your delegates. That's just how it used to be. Primaries came later, and we just became a primary state.
Yep.
Well, when the whole caucus conversation came up for committees, and we got to learn the caucus. At that time, it was several months ago. It was like, okay, well, you're going to have Ramaswamy, you're going to have DeSantis, you're going to have Haley, and a few others. There's going to be all these different slates.
Right.
Well, look what we have now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got,
they're a little more simplified.
Yeah.
A
Very
little
much.
bit more simplified. But, of course, this is not the mock caucus, but we're going to certainly take this into consideration at the mock caucus. What we fully expect is that if it's just Trump on March 2nd, that we're going to have more than one slate.
Oh, okay.
And so then there could very easily be, in the city of St. Louis at least, and possibly in other counties as well. But I fully expect that if it's down to just Trump, that we're going to have 2, maybe 3 slates that show up, and then we're going to duke it out as to which slate moves on
to the congressional district.
to the congressional districts. And I think that could be as scrappy as if we had more than one candidate.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a few extra minutes?
I sure do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know because we need to do a quick information segment here. I've got a question for you regarding that.
Okay.
Just ahead here. We're visiting with Mary Theresa McClean from the St. Louis City Republican Party. Let's go ahead and give out the website so people can find where to get the location for the meeting.
Sure. It's all on there, stlouisrepublicans.com. Doesn't get any easier than that.
All right. Mary Theresa McClean going to be with us here around 7:52 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality, Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, Missouri is a caucus state. Quick question, follow-up for you, Mary Theresa. We got Mary Theresa McClean in from the St. Louis City Republicans, who on Thursday is going to have kind of a caucus 101, a primer.
Not kind of.
Yeah.
We are having one. Right.
And then a mock caucus so people can practice it. And that is so crucial because it can be intimidating doing something new, especially something as important as an election. So here's a follow-up question.
Sure.
Somebody says, man, I want my voice heard. I want to be a delegate. I'm going to show up and say, make me a delegate. But it doesn't quite work like that, which you will know if you go to Thursday. But if somebody says, I'd love to be a delegate for, most likely Trump or Nikki Haley or whatever the case is, but they say, I want to be a delegate, what would that entail? If you say I want to sign up to be a delegate, what are you signing up for?
You are signing up for, you're committing to moving on to the next level of the caucus, which is a month later April 6th. It's the first Saturday of April in the congressional district. So if you're going to be on the slate, be a delegate, we are asking you to sign a piece of paper saying, yes, I will be there at the next level, and nothing is going to get in my way.
Right.
You know,
So-
I'm not going to have to wash my hair that day or anything, you know.
So if you don't want to be a delegate, you show up because you're selecting the delegates.
That's as important as being on the
Right.
on the slate and being elected as a delegate, because you have let me backtrack a little bit. We expect to have more than one slate for Trump. We expect we have 2 or 3 slates. We might be surprised and there's just one, but I don't think so. I think we're going to at least have 2. So then it becomes voting on which slate is going to go forward at the congressional district caucus in a month later. But if you are at the caucus and you are a Republican and you're a registered voter, you can vote and you can say, okay, that slate is the slate of delegates that is going to move forward. So that's what it's going to boil down to. So you're part of the process. So please come. If you cannot be a delegate, you don't want to be a delegate, but you want to be part of this, come on March 2nd and be part of the process. It's as grassroots American politics as you can get.
Absolutely is. And that's one of the things I think people don't really realize about a caucus. I mean, when you're doing a primary, you walk into the voting booth or sit at a table at this point with a little divider, but you're doing your own thing and you're checking a box about who you want to vote for, and you're voting for the candidate. When you're participating in a caucus, you're voting for a slate of people who support the candidate you want to be supported, but
Exactly.
you're also choosing who's going to be representing me ultimately at the state level in selecting that
yes.
candidate. So you're actually voting for the delegates. You're not technically voting for the candidate.
Yeah, that's a technical way to describe it, but it's very true. Yes.
Right. And people will know that if they show up on Thursday night and go through the mock caucus.
Yes. And then there's also, 11 delegates on a slate, but there's also 11 alternates. So in case at the very last minute somebody, has a death in the family or, for whatever reason they cannot go, then the alternate goes in their stead.
Is there any of this, like, for instance, whether it's this coming Thursday for the primer or the mock caucus or the actual caucuses in March, is there any of this that can also double as a party building process as well?
Well, very much so. I'm here today. We're talking to people and inviting people to come. So it's always about building the party. And we have like I said a few minutes ago, we have a great space that we meet in, and then, somebody wants to get involved in the caucus, they go to the website, they get the information that they need about where to go to, all the particulars, but they can also read other things and what exactly is going on. So, yes, I see, and the day of the caucus, not just the mock caucus, but the day of the caucus on March 2nd, definitely we all come together as Republicans.
Sure.
That's as party building as you get.
Yep, and we're going to give out the website here in a second. On Rumble here, Larry Connors just put a note on there.
Yeah, Larry.
He said, added point on the caucus, 1 day/night only, no multiple days, no pre-voting, out of town, out of the caucus, child sick, out of the caucus. I mean, if you can't make it, you don't get to mail in your vote. You don't get to do an absentee ballot. You got to be there to be part of it.
You have to be there.
All right.
Yes, and it's in the morning on March 2nd.
Okay.
From 10 to 1. Oh, and can I say real quick where it is?
Yeah.
And this is the March set. This is the real caucus, not the mock caucus. But it's at St. James Center. Used to be a school. There was St. James the Greater Church, and they rent out the gymnasium.
Oh, okay.
So it's on Tam Avenue in Dogtown on the corner of Wade, and enter on the Wade side.
Okay.
And it starts at 10, but get there. We're going to be getting there at 8 to set up. But get there before 10 because we anticipate a big crowd.
All right. And once again, the website real quick.
stlouisrepublicans.com.
All right. Thanks, Mary Theresa.
Thank you.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Then here's a great idea. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Yes, one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program and we'll come and remove your car for free. Fast, free towing, and 24-hour response. You can donate most cars, trucks, or SUVs in most conditions. The proceeds raised goes to help active military, veterans, and their families, and you get a tax deduction. All you need to do is make this free call. Get rid of that old car and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now and book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Donation Program now. Donate your car and help veterans and their families. Operators are standing by. Here's the number.
800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. 800-925-1596. That's 800-925-1596.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. House Republicans are set to advance what would be the first impeachment of a cabinet officer in almost 150 years.
House Republicans say Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas refuses to enforce immigration laws, and the Homeland Security Committee is scheduled to vote on 2 articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. But Democrats are calling the proceedings a sham that could set a chilling precedent for other civil servants. Meanwhile, the Senate has been working with the Homeland Security Secretary on a bipartisan border security package that could be the most consequential bipartisan immigration proposal in a decade, or it could collapse in political failure. Donna Warder, Washington.
Senator Rick Scott says Republicans seeking a border compromise with the Democrats are running a fool's errand. First, he says it's clear that President Biden and the Democrats want a wide-open border.
And number 2 is we took off my understanding is we took off the table one thing that I think is the most important thing is do something that makes Biden enforce the law. He's lawless.
The senator from Florida speaking with the Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt. Israel says 3 Palestinian terrorists its forces killed today have been using a West Bank hospital as a hideout. The White House says the U.S. is encouraged by recent talks aimed at winning the release of the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza.
Those discussions are ongoing. We believe they have been constructive and are moving in a good direction. Don't want to sound sanguine here. There's a lot of work left to be done. We don't have an imminent deal to speak to.
John Kirby speaking for the White House. Israel has described the talks as constructive, adding that they will continue in the weeks to come. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures are down 84 points. The NASDAQ futures off 45. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Terrorist attacks against Israel, escalating threats of a third world war, natural disasters, and civil unrest are causing people to wonder, are we living in the end times?
In his new book, Are We Living in the End Times?, trusted pastor and best-selling author Dr. Robert Jeffress provides solid biblical answers to 7 key questions, including, what role does Israel play in the end times? What 5 headlines will signal we are in the end times? And how can you prepare for the end times? Are We Living in the End Times by Dr. Robert Jeffress is available right now at ptv.org and wherever fine books are sold.
Jesus said, no one knows the hour or day of his return, which is why we should be ready at all times. Jesus is coming back to earth one day. Are you ready? Get your copy of my new book, Are We Living in the End Times? By going to ptv.org or wherever.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or 2 possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency. We're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Just so people know, Susie, and I want to set the record straight, inflation is still a thing.
No, really?
I'm just saying.
You mean the price of eggs hasn't gone down?
Right. And a lot of people may not be seeing that in the headlines, may not be seeing that in the news right now. For some reason, the media doesn't want to keep covering what's happening with the economy because we find out that everything is in great shape.
That's what they say.
That's what I'm being told. Yeah. All right, that's Susie Moore from redstate.com. She's in for Gabe today, which I really appreciate, by the way.
Sure.
You're going to be back tomorrow?
I am.
As well. And then, of course, Gabe will be back next week. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Stel Ponticus here. Let's talk some inflation. Let's talk some Bidenomics. But the reality is that there's not all bad news.
True.
When it comes to the economy. There
all
are
relative,
some things that are stabilizing and moving in the right direction. So one of the things that I always like to do is make sure that we're getting an accurate picture.
Yeah.
And that is something we should not be afraid to do.
But no, absolutely not.
Too many people want to politicize facts. You know, use facts. If you're right, great. The facts are on your side. But let's make sure that we're dealing with actual facts. I mean, I have heard that there are people who actually want bad things to happen sometimes just so an election can go a certain way.
I've heard that.
Yeah, precisely. Okay. We are now joined by Elaine Parker. She's the Chief Communications Officer with the Job Creators Network. And Elaine, appreciate you being on the program here. Let's get an accurate picture of what's happening in the economy right now, because Susie and I were just discussing, I just don't feel like we get a full picture when it comes to typical media out there. There are some good things that are happening, or at least some things that are stabilizing, but we don't hear the word inflation a lot anymore, and that is still a thing. That is still affecting our lives. When people say, all right, what can I look forward to? What can I plan for my personal life, my personal finances, my personal spending behavior? What are the things we need to know right now from the snapshot?
Well, thanks so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Well, inflation remains well above the Federal Reserve's target rate, but more importantly, the inflation damage over the last 3 years of the administration has already been done. And I know that every month that we get the inflation numbers, the administration wants to tout inflation is coming down, it's moderating, there's nothing more to see here, let's move on. And that's why you're not hearing a lot about it anymore in the mainstream media. But here's the way your listeners can think about this moderation of inflation, the inflation number each month. Think of it as if somebody gains 5 pounds a month for 12 months, you've gained 60 pounds in a year. Not good, right? It does a lot of damage to your body. If you decrease that weight gain to 2 pounds a month, you've cut it in half, right? But you're still gaining weight, and the damage has already been done because you've gained 60 pounds. That's what we're dealing with right now. We have very inflated prices because they have compounded on each other over the last 3 years. And so while the rate of the increase has slowed down, we're paying more for everything, as much as 20% more for everything. And there is some anecdotal evidence out there, specifically groceries, that shows that we may be even paying more than what's being reported. You just have to ask someone on the street, how's your grocery bill this week? And they'll tell you.
Yeah, I kind of take that example personally there. That just kind of hurt. I'm just going to leave it at that.
It's absolutely true, though. Elaine, I know one of the things I noticed yesterday, I think it was yesterday. So you've got, like you said, the administration is trying to spin it as, oh, inflation's coming down. You get, the press secretary saying inflation's coming down and we're doing great. And then you have like Janet Yellen kind of saying, acknowledging the truth that it's the rate of inflation that's coming down, but prices aren't going to come down. And she even said it's not the Fed's job to bring prices down. And she's right about that. But I think people have a disconnect there, don't they?
Absolutely. And actually, we saw inflation, the CPI number increase, the core inflation increase. And what we have is record high core costs. We have record high food costs. We have fuel costs on the rise again, and shelter costs. We have a housing crisis, a cost of living crisis for Americans and small businesses. And it's the economy, while you see these headline numbers come in, Jobs Day every month comes in, and most of the time you'll see that it's either met or exceeded the expected numbers. But what you don't hear a few weeks later in the headlines from the mainstream media is that over the course of 2023, the jobs were adjusted 10 out of 11 months, adjusted down. So we lost what was reported in the news is actually almost 500,000 jobs less for the year. And you just don't hear that in the news. There are cracks in the armor here. We have a house of cards that is going to fall. There's going to be a day of reckoning. And unfortunately, it's always the American people that have to pay the bill. Our 2023 deficit was a near $1.7 trillion with a T, I'm talking. And the 2024 deficit is on track to hit $2 trillion. So between that deficit and Americans' credit card bills that are coming due, we are sitting on a house of cards. And the only way to rein this in is to stop the reckless spending and to vote in candidates who believe in fiscal sanity.
Good morning, Elaine. Stal Pontique is here. So I'm driving into work this morning, and I noticed that gas has gone up in many areas here in St. Louis, 20 cents overnight. And in relation to the index that gets issued, are there certain aspects of the economy that do not get reported? Because I'll hear folks say, well, gas and groceries are not in this one, but they may be in this other one. Are there certain ones that have parts of the economy that are not reported?
Well, that's the difference between like the core inflation and the overall inflation number, where they take out energy costs and housing costs. And you can see the difference between the two there. But what we do see is the overall like CPI, the Consumer Price Index, the rate of inflation has increased 3.4% from 3.1% last month, if you look at month over month. But the core inflation increased by 3.9%. So it was running higher. And you'll see differences in gas prices across the country, obviously, because of the different taxes across the country. But gas prices are still highly elevated from when the Biden administration came in. And that's just been because of day one, when the Biden administration came in, they started a war on our domestic energy. You may not recall because now it's been 3 years, but we were actually energy independent under the Trump administration. So that's what the Biden administration inherited, was an energy independent country that we were actually exporting oil to other countries. On day one, he stopped the XL pipeline and began a war on our domestic energy production that has continued right up until last week, when he cut the exports of the liquid natural gas exports, which is a clean source of energy and is going to cause other countries to actually use dirtier fuels. So the strategy just doesn't make sense. It's a distortion of our energy markets. It's a distortion of the international markets, and it causes our costs to increase and hurt people at the lowest end of the income spectrum.
We're visiting with Elaine Parker from the Job Creators Network. Okay, so let me follow up on the policy stuff that you were just mentioning. I mean, obviously you've addressed energy, which affects basically everything else. I mean, people are looking at candidates right now at every level, Congress and Senate, and obviously president as well. What are the solutions that should be pushed and enacted to try to turn this back around? I just had a note on social media that came in that says prices have started to moderate, but my income has not kept up with inflation over the last 3 years. Until my income catches up, which I think puts it pretty well, because people can see this as a bunch of arrows on charts or graphs on charts, but this is hitting us very, very personally in our individual and our household budgets.
Well, this one's really easy to answer. It's 3 words: drill, baby, drill. We have to get back to domestic energy production. It's just a very easy answer. And you're right, it is the root of everything. We need energy for everything. And to try to distort the market by these government mandates to move us towards away from fossil fuels and towards EV mandates and other things, and whether taking away our natural gas stoves or whatever it is, those are all government mandates. Those are not natural progressions, and the technology is not even there to support all of that. That is going to drive up the cost of energy and thereby drive up the cost of everything for everybody.
And Elaine, isn't that also being compounded by supply chain issues? I know obviously we had some issues kind of due to COVID, but now we've got issues because of the unrest in the Middle East, the dangers on the Red Sea, and some companies just not being willing to go there, some shippers. So, I mean, that all compounds on top of everything else, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And when you look at our own domestic energy drilling decreasing and not being able to explore and drill on our own lands, that makes the supply even less, and we're forced to buy from countries that don't like us. And of course, I don't have to tell you what that means for us when we're buying from countries that don't like us.
Hey, Elaine, real quick here, because I'm running out of time on the segment here, but we've talked a lot about the effect on all of us individually. We've talked about kind of the macro effect. What about the aspect of the businesses and growing businesses, entrepreneurialism, investing in businesses, because the economic outlook affects how aggressive or how high of a risk tolerance people will have when it comes to starting or growing businesses, particularly those small and medium-sized businesses around the country?
Well, we're a small business advocacy organization, and so my focus is generally on Main Street small businesses. And I will tell you, just right at the top, small business owners, entrepreneurs are generally an optimistic bunch. So I say that at the lead of this. But we do a national poll of small business owners, and right now our small business owners across the country, only 27% say the economy is headed in a positive direction. So I can leave you with that, but the outlook for small business owners when they look at the overall economy, they are not positive about it, and they do not like Bidenomics.
All right, and where do we learn more about what you all do at the Job Creators Network?
You can go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com and subscribe to our newsletter. And if you're interested in supporting our efforts, you can do that too.
All right. Elaine Parker, thanks so much for the update and the perspective.
Thank you.
All right. 314-912-1019. You know what's sticking with me already there is when she said entrepreneurs and small business owners tend to be an optimistic bunch. And that's been my experience. Mm-hmm. And to find that just over a quarter of them are optimistic, meaning almost 3/4 are not.
It's not a good sign.
That tells me something right there. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Stop right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
St. Louis City voters, ever felt like your voice could change the game? Well, picture this. You choosing the delegates at the upcoming March caucus that could represent our city on the national stage. The St. Louis City GOP is having a mock caucus event. this Thursday, February 1st at 7 p.m. Your training ground, your free ticket to understanding the caucus process. Don't just witness history, be a part of it. For more details, go to stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in a minute.
Don't get angry with me. I never caused you no pain.
I don't know this one. Who's this?
New Rolling Stones.
Oh,
wow!
Angry.
How often do you hear the term, hey, new Rolling Stones song?
Not very often anymore.
I'm like, I like it, but I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know this song.
Name of the album is Hackney Diamonds.
Huh.
Interesting.
I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
It's got a good groove.
Rolling Stones team, they seem to keep trying to kind of get back to their bluesy roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they actually started off as a blues band.
They did. You're
And
right.
then they're like, hey, there's a lot of money in this rock and roll thing over here. And then in the 80s, there's a huge amount of money in this pop music thing.
Absolutely.
Now they got more money than they know what to do with. They're like, let's do what we want to do.
They could fund Alyssa Milano's kids' baseball team.
Right, yeah. Poor baby needed to do a fundraiser.
She's driving around in her $200,000 Porsche.
All right. I'm going to take the devil's advocate position on that
Okay.
real
Okay.
quick. Okay. Greg Gutfeld did this too.
Yeah.
You know, she paid for the team's jerseys. She's probably paid for a lot of the stuff for the team. And I think this might have been an effort to try and have it be more of a community thing.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to pay for everything just because she's wealthy. So
That's true.
I mean, I don't agree with the thing that comes out of her mouth just about.
That's
but
right. It was like, back in the 80s and 90s when she was, the
Samantha.
the crush of
Samantha
every...
Maselli.
Yeah.
On Who's the Boss.
The crush of every high school and college age, dude when I was in those age groups. And it's like, she was so pretty until she opened her mouth later in life.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Anti-Semitic corruption within a United Nations organization. We'll get to that here in just a second. We got ourselves quite a showdown happening at the Missouri State Capitol right now.
Showdown in the Show Me State.
We've got a filibuster.
A real one.
Yeah. And here's the other interesting thing. Tried to do the sound effect and
got all choked up.
Got all choked up. Is that it may be paying off and the Freedom Caucus may possibly get a win out of this.
Maybe.
When I say the Freedom Caucus could get a win, those of us who say we have got to protect the state constitution to keep the left from buying terrible things in our state may get a win out of this as well. So 8:35, let's bring everybody up to date with what's happening. All right, here's what's going on around the world, around the area here. Multiple countries, and Susie just informed me we are among them.
Yes.
That have suspended funding to an organization called the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which is referred to as UNRWA. And that is after we have learned that about a dozen of UNRWA workers actually took part in the Hamas attacks against Israel in October. Congressman Ronnie Jackson, he's a Republican out of Florida, was on Hannity last night, and he says, don't just pause it, stop the funding now that we know this.
This is a horrible, horrible organization that's done a lot of damage, and the Biden administration has given them, I think it's more than that, I read over $1 billion since he's been in office that he's given to UNRWA, which most of that has gone directly to Hamas to build these tunnels and to buy weapons.
The official word out of UNRWA, Susie, is, no, just keep sending us money. We promise we'll investigate. Trust us.
I'm going to be a hard no on that.
Yeah, same here. Same here. All right. An Illinois elections board is discussing today whether to keep or remove somebody from the primary ballot. Anybody want to guess who? Anybody want to guess who?
Donald Trump.
Good guess. Good guess. And I did not slip her the answer before that. Just saying. Yeah, we're doing this again here. So here's what's happening is the State Board of Elections has their regularly scheduled meeting today. This was on the calendar. They were going to meet no matter what. And this is part of their agenda. Somebody got enough signatures, which is next to nothing in Illinois, it turns out.
Yeah, it's a very low bar.
I mean, very low bar for an entire state to start the process of having the hearings and all that kind of stuff. And so there was a hearing officer who wrote up a report and a recommendation for the board. I'm a little wonky here, but I'm trying to connect the dots here. That hearing officer is a retired judge who's actually a Republican, heard both our sides of the argument last week, and then wrote his recommendation, which is to remove Donald Trump from the primary ballot in Illinois, and this all has to do with the January 6th riots. So the 8-person board is 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans, and obviously, Susie, regardless of whether they decide to take any action with Donald Trump or just say, no, he's on the ballot and let it go, the U.S. Supreme Court is addressing this now. I mean, basically, they're about to hear some arguments on this. They're going to have to make a decision because you got Maine, you got Colorado, you got Hawaii, you've got other states that are blue states that are trying to kick Trump off the primary ballot.
Yeah, the arguments are set for next Thursday, February 8th, before the Supreme Court. And then how soon after that they will rule kind of is an open question. There's a lot to process. There's a lot to get through. So it's not going to be immediate, but I'm sure they're trying to expedite the process as much as possible. The tricky part is that each of these states has their own mechanism for doing this. So if you're going to look, I mean, there could be an an overarching principle about whether or not a state can remove a candidate from the ballot. But you know, Colorado did it through their Supreme Court. Maine did it through their Secretary of State. Illinois is doing it through this board. So each state has their own mechanism.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out when the court actually does. And there's probably been like 40 amicus briefs filed with the court.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the list of them. It's a huge number of list of briefs that they have to get through.
And I would think, and Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation was on with us a couple weeks ago before the Illinois thing, popped up. His opinion was the court's likely going to feel a lot of legitimate pressure to render a decision on this pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the primary and caucus season already.
Yeah. So it's no good to like delay it till June.
Right.
That's
when
not
all the
helpful.
other hand downs happen.
Right.
And it's also, I want to point out that these are just the primary. All of these questions are about the primaries.
Right. But
not the general.
They could go, the principles underlying them could
Right.
go to the general, the issue of him being on the ballot in the general as well.
Right. So there are states where, you know, if they had their druthers, they would not allow him on the general election ballot. Yeah.
Right.
And you may say, well, okay, so what? So California doesn't allow Trump on the ballot. Big deal, because, you know, he can't win California anyway. But that would sure affect voter turnout in every other place in the state.
It absolutely would.
Yeah.
And how would you feel if you were a Californian who wanted to vote for Donald Trump? I mean, you'd feel like you were being denied a basic right.
Well, you'd only feel that way because you're being denied
a basic right.
And the folks who are down ballot
may
feel
exactly.
like, hey, come on.
Yeah, because if you're in a purple or a light red district, you need that voter turnout,
You do.
you know, to get out there. So that has an effect all the way up and down the ballot, as Stell was just saying. Okay, let's see here. Negotiations continue in Congress for a border security package. Senator Eric Schmidt was on the Ingram angle last night on Fox, and he says, you know what, this President Biden guy, I just don't trust him to negotiate in good faith.
He reversed remain in Mexico. He ended that. He paid contractors $140,000 a day to not construct the wall. He's abusing parole, and he's sued Texas, who's actually tried to secure the border. He has no interest in it, and the idea that he's going to double pinky swear and really promise next time with some new language to do it is ridiculous.
Okay, so I think the media, the White House, they want to say, listen, they're just not coming to the table because they don't want to deal with Ukraine and Taiwan and Israel funding, and Republicans are saying, you guys are playing politics by connecting all of this. We want a vote on border security, then we'll vote on the other stuff. And essentially, the Republicans and Eric Schmidt are just saying there's no good faith negotiating going on here.
There's not. And the thing that keeps getting overlooked is the fact that Biden himself changed all these policies when he took office. He did that via executive order. He could undo the executive orders that he's issued regarding this and undo like 90% of the harm that he's caused.
Yeah.
But he's trying to lay it all on Congress so he can blame the Republicans. So it's a load of baloney.
Yes, yes.
You know, these are the days when I wish we still had a tabloid in St. Louis, because double pinky swear would be great on the front page of a newspaper. That's a tabloid.
Oh, man. All right, quick note here. Congressman Mike Bost picks up some significant support in his reelection bid. The Illinois Fraternal Order of Police announced its endorsement of Bost on Monday. Now, the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, I hear, really doesn't sway a lot of voters in Chicago, but where Mike Bost lives in downstate Illinois, they still back the blue.
Sure.
So that's a big deal. All right. Anybody want to honor your ex this Valentine's Day?
I'm going to pass.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, just saying. Because for a small fee, the St. Louis Aquarium is going to name a vegetable, a cricket, or a mealworm after your ex, and then feed it to one of their critters.
I feel like that's just not going to make things better. If you've got a contentious relationship with your ex, it's not going to make things better. If you've got a decent relationship with your ex, it's not going to make things better.
Well, that'll fix that.
Unless you play practical jokes on each other, in which case that might work.
Yeah. All right. So what'll happen is if you give them, $5 or $10 or $25 or whatever you want to donate, they will send you a digital Valentine's Day card as part of their Love Bites fundraiser. All the funds raised support the St. Louis Aquarium Foundation and fill the tummies of the critters as well. All right. Blues play at home tonight.
Yeah.
Columbus Blue Jackets in town for this one. Man, the puck drops to 7, but the Blues are on a hot streak right now.
They are.
Oh, wow.
Lots of overtime wins, too.
Yes. What, 3 in a row now?
Yeah.
And they've won 5 games in a row.
Making them nail biters.
And a bunch of them 4-3. So what are the odds that tonight's game is 4-3?
That would be hilarious if it is. All right, this is the game. Just a quick note, because most of their games are on ESPN Plus. It's not on ESPN Plus tonight. It's on NHL Network tonight.
Okay. Good to
so,
know.
7 o'clock game.
All right, one other quick note, too. This is the last game before All-Star Weekend.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So they won't be in action, I think, for another 10 days or so, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's a week from Saturday, I think.
Okay.
Or a week from
yeah,
Friday,
I think
something
you're
like
right.
that. Yeah.
And All-Star Weekend is up in Toronto.
Well, and with all these overtime games, these guys have to be tired.
Yeah, they need that break.
I need to rest. All right, let's talk filibusters because they are throwing down at the Missouri Capitol right now.
Let's do it.
All right, right here, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Clouds return today, but this is just a temporary bout of gray skies. Sunshine returns tomorrow. In the meantime, though, stray sprinkle or two possible this morning and this afternoon. And it turns breezy. Northwest winds picking up to about 15 miles per hour. Some gusts to around 25. Afternoon temperatures kind of stuck in the low to mid 40s. Cloudy tonight, down to 32 early Wednesday, but blue skies return tomorrow with a high of 52. How about 62 on Thursday? That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
News commentary.
The NFL doubles down on woke with a Pride Night during Super Bowl week. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Super Bowl has nothing to do with sexual preference, but the NFL didn't get that memo because here we go again. The league announced a night of pride will take place during Super Bowl week. The evening apparently aims to spotlight advances in the future of the LGBTQ inclusion in professional sports, as well as the NFL's commitment to LGBTQ former and current players. Oh, for the love of God, why does everything have to be about gay? It's football. Why do you need to commemorate gay inclusion with a special night? The best way to be inclusive in sports is to shut the heck up about all the things that make fans different and instead celebrate and focus on the game and the sport that brings us all together. The NFL is just so annoying this year. The Black National Anthem, the nonstop Taylor Swift cutaways, and now this. You know, it's a shock they even have time to play football anymore. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward, at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy. Regardless of your health condition, you could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
This is what's happening.
These are individuals that were known terrorists that we have caught crossing the southern border. Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
I've been thinking about the time you walked out.
I know it was 80s pop rock, but the Raised on Radio album from Journey, I know it's saccharine sweet, but such a good album.
Good stuff.
I have made that my road trip music on I-70 a few times.
Those were the days, man.
Yeah, high school, this came out. Loved it. Loved it. And I don't think you were here when I did my trivia question on this album and this song. Who was the bass player for Journey on this album? And he toured with him, but he was a member of Journey for at least one album. That was this one.
Was it Randy Jackson?
You got it right. That was it.
Oh,
that
okay.
Was it.
Nicely done. You go to the bonus round.
That's right.
Woo-hoo!
It was Randy Jackson. Yep. And now Russ Valery's back. Or at least he was when I saw him.
There's a reason I like trivia nights.
That's right. All right, it is 8:38. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Red State's Susie Moore in, and you've done so well that you have to come back tomorrow.
Oh, that's my penance, huh?
That's right. And still, Fonteca's here. Okay, so we had some other stuff we were going to talk about, but Jefferson City right now, a few things going on. One, there's a filibuster, and when they had their first filibuster, right off the bat, there were a lot of us going, oh, okay, well, we're ready to fight. Here we go. Let's just find something to fight about. Now it looks like there's some real policy stuff that's at stake with these filibusters here. And it's interesting because as much as the media and Caleb Rowden and everybody is trying to paint the Freedom Caucus like just a bunch of radical extremist children who should be at the kids' table at Thanksgiving, it looks like the Freedom Caucus and Bill Eigel in particular, they are moving some of these big issues up the line that it may not have happened otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, the pushback is that, oh, this was all, in process and was going to happen, and then the Freedom Caucus came along and were being obstructionists. But as Bill has pointed out several times, they didn't start their big, filibuster stuff till 3+ weeks into the session, and nothing had been moved at that point. Mm-hmm. Nothing. There had been nothing referred. None of the bills. There's like over 500 bills filed. That didn't happen until after all of this blew up, after all the hot, the spotlight was on it and national attention. Now we're getting this, and now it sounds like possibly, maybe. Yeah. Do not count your chickens, folks. It might get referred out of committee.
Right. And so that sounds really wonky talk, but if you're heading into work, basically what that means is that some of the most high-profile conservative agendas right now, and that is initiative petition reform, which sounds, again, very wonky and all that kind of stuff. But what that means is are we going to set a standard for our state constitution that says you just can't roll in with $2.5 million and buy yourself an amendment?
Which is what we don't want, because how many amendments do we have to our Constitution?
I mean, there's like a couple hundred or something.
119.
Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the state constitution is not just the book of referendums, okay? Listen, access to the referendum access is absolutely crucial in our form of government, but to change the state constitution, all conservatives are saying is it should be a higher standard. There should be more consensus to permanently change the rules of the state, because you'll see this in the way that Susie, the media, is portraying this. Conservatives want to make it harder for citizens to access the ballot. I mean, that's what they're saying, which is patently false. You can still put a referendum on the ballot and alter a law or change a law or create a law with 50% plus one.
Right.
We're talking about the state constitution.
Correct.
That's all we're talking about.
Yeah.
And right now, Republicans are in control, so therefore the media and Democrats don't like the fact that they're talking about raising the bar. Nobody was worried about raising the bar when Democrats ran the state.
Nope.
Now they do. Now
Funny
they
that.
can. But I'm not going to do my media's biased rant. We all know that. So what's happening right now is that there were a set of appointees that Governor Parson had made, which is just part of his job.
Yep.
And the first filibuster, basically the Freedom Caucus went, that looks like pretty good collateral damage. Let's hold that up and try to get an initiative petition moved forward. Well, it kind of worked. And so it went into a committee. Now it looks like it's going to get voted out of committee, and they're filibustering now over some of those names on the governor's list of appointments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Supposedly what's going to happen is they're going to adjourn the Senate at 9 with the agreement that the IP reform is going to then, the committee hearing is going to be held, and IP reform is going to be passed out of the committee, which means progress for it. Now, it's not a done deal.
No, not even close.
There's several more steps in the process, and people that are trying to slow walk that whole issue are probably still going to be trying to slow walk it, but it is progress.
And the slow walking is what's so effective, because you can say, oh, I really am in favor of A or B or C or all of the above, while wink, wink, nod, nod to your donors. Don't worry, I got this. Slow walk it. Make sure that the clock runs out. You go back to your donors. You say, see, I took care of it. You go to the voters. See, I tried so hard. Look at my votes.
Republican voters in Missouri need to ask themselves one thing. What's the Republican argument against IP reform?
There is no Republican argument against it. There are a number of lobby groups that have problems against it.
Yeah, which lobby groups are those?
The chamber is not a fan of it. The real estate lobby group is not a fan of it at all. Basically, groups large enough to be able to want to put something on the ballot to buy a constitutional amendment. They don't like this.
Not advanced conservative principles, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we're talking about that sort of thing, then sure. Yeah.
No. And the abortion lobby,
Right,
all of
exactly.
those. I mean, and that's a key issue for a lot of people in Missouri. So be
Right.
thinking about that.
And here's the thing, though, on that, they've already started gathering signatures, even if they change the IP reform right now. I think because the referendum on abortion was started under the old rules, I don't know that the higher standard of voting even would apply this time around, which makes it so much worse that they didn't get it done last year.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work. I mean, usually the laws are implemented by August 28th.
Yeah. Would there be an ex post facto in this?
I don't know that it would, because you're talking about collecting signatures versus what's
the actual vote.
The actual vote. I don't know that it would. I think they may be still able to make an effective block there.
I hope that would
got to
be
get
the
it across
case.
the finish line.
Right. I hope it would be the case. And so that's led to this filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone all night.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, Bill Eigel had time to greet everybody in News Talk STL Nation
Hi,
on
Bill.
social media. And he texted me, he goes, "Hey, guys, I'm saying hi." And I went, "We just saw it. We're going to watch for it." Yes, thank you, Bill. So he's still keeping up the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, there's also a protest and rally in support of the Freedom Caucus, which is scheduled for 11 o'clock in the Capitol. So there are literally people driving to the Capitol right now to lend their voice of support for the Freedom Caucus members. And I think they were probably, Susie, headed up there to protest against, Bill Eigel and Rick Bratton and Andrew Koenig being thrown off these committee chairmanships,
Correct.
but they're actually showing up in the midst of the fight as reinforcements at the Capitol, so that the other Republicans are going to see all these conservative activists showing up and saying, "Hey, we're watching you. We see what's happening." And there are plenty of those Missouri state senators on the Republican side who are running for something else right now and are going to have to start answering questions to people face to face.
Yes, they are. People are watching you very closely. And if you want to be a conservative champion and you're taking a quiet stance or not being clear where you stand on things, people are going to notice.
And they're going to be asking. They're going to be asking today. And if you're going, please snap pictures and put them up on social media and tag us at News Talk STL everywhere that you are. So this got far more interesting quicker than I thought it was going to do this week. I thought both sides were going to go to their corners for a little bit and get a few procedural things done. No. They're like, no, come on, Apollo. Okay, Rocky, let's meet in the middle. Let's go. Let's do this. And that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah. Well, makes for interesting watching. Get your popcorn.
There was a time in my life a long time ago, I thought, I think I'd be a pretty okay state legislator. Maybe one of these days I'll run for something. And now I look at this and I'm like, I can be involved without putting myself
Yeah, I don't know if I would
that.
have the patience of.
I would not. I would not have the patience for it at all. But I'm glad there are people who are doing it and a whole lot of people running up there to support him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Susie, there are some people who are not in the Freedom Caucus who are mad at the Freedom Caucus who are good conservatives.
Yeah.
But they have, their complaints about tactics and strategy, and I get all that. But the fact of the matter is that going along to get along has cost us conservative things over the last 2 years, especially when there were many of us, this station included, who were jumping up and down as early as the end of January going, I see what's happening. We see what's happening. You're slow walking this. The clock's going to run out. And it happened time and time again. And the Freedom Caucus just called BS on them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I support that.
Yep. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Hey, we welcome everybody's opinion, especially the dude that went off on us on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading that. I'm like,
he was a little confused about what
man.
his overall opinion is.
He's mad. He's big mad. By the way, he referenced a radio station owner group that has nothing to do with us. But
That's right.
Whatever. But have your say, man. Go you. You're wrong, but go you. Thanks for listening, man.
We still have free speech,
That's right.
You've got it.
I think. Yes.
Check it out on Facebook because we didn't delete it.
No.
Hey, you want to criticize us? Have at it.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Planning a move? I encourage you to call McGuire Moving. And they not only do moving, they can provide you portable storage. They'll bring a storage container to you. You fill it at your time and convenience. They'll pick it up, move it where you want it. Here's their phone number, 314-241-0600, 241-0600. Website, McGuireMoving.com, McGuireMoving.com. Locally owned.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
I'm always glad to have new sponsors, but I have turned some down. See, I only endorse clients if I believe in them. And I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. Through those years, listeners said they went with John Beal because they trusted me. And just recently, a woman named Mary wrote, "We got a John Beal roof based on your recommendation." Thank you, Mary, and all the others for calling John Beal. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege. Alan Dershowitz, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Hey, I know how to talk Brooklyn Italian. I grew
do?
up with Brooklyn Italians. All of my friends grew up in Sicily. We know what to say.
Let me give you a word and see how you say it, okay? Some people would say mozzarella. How would you say that?
I never had it. It wasn't kosher.
Okay.
So forget about it.
Wow, this is great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday, 425. We'll speak with David Stokes about a new tax credit under consideration. And at 525, Randy Tobler. He's back.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Susie, I think Twitter right now is probably one of the best places to keep track of what's happening.
Yep.
With the filibuster that's going on in the Missouri Senate right now.
Yep.
Couple key accounts you can do. I think Tim Jones has watched this. Camellia Peterson from Americans.
Rare Camellia.
Is she still with AFP? I think she's still with AFP.
I think she is.
Yeah. So she's watching it pretty closely as well. Some people get into these because they just love a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we see a lot of that right now. And I get it. You love a good fight. But if you don't have a purpose for the fight, then the fight's not worth it. But right now, when the dust is settling, even though there's this filibuster going on, it looks like people are starting to see, oh yeah, the Freedom Caucus has a point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting some results.
Right.
And here's what's weird is you remember that press conference that Caleb Rowden had, and you had all these Republicans behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many of them really wanted to be there, but a lot of them did. A lot of them are just angry at the Freedom Caucus guys.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go along to get along, and there's some really good I had some friends that were there around Caleb.
Sure.
So there were some that, I think are frustrated because they agree with, Bill Eigel and Nick Schroer and Rick Bratton and Andrew Koenig, and you can go on and on and on and on. and they don't like the tactics.
Right.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. But what it looks like right now is that some things are happening that would not have happened with key issues if there hadn't been a throwdown and a stomp fight.
Yeah. I mean, you can always, I guess if someone wants to kind of cover their tracks, they can always say, oh, well, we were going to do this, but then they got in the way of it. But it sure didn't look like they were going to do anything about it until the pressure started being brought to bear.
We talked to Byron Keelin from Freedom Principle Mo early today in the program, and we were talking in part about this rally and protest that's going to happen in just about 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
And you asked him, he said, what kind of, attendance are you expecting? And he said, well, I've been told around 200 people. I was kind of surprised on that. I'm like, that's a pretty good turnout.
Yeah. I worked in the Capitol my senior year of college, and had we ever had, we had groups show up, but had we had 200 people show up, like in protest mode, it would have been, it would have caught everybody's attention.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I have spoken at a few things at the state capitol over the years, but they were always on the front steps. Yeah. And, of course, you can fit a lot of people in there. Right. And I've spoken to a couple of pretty big crowds out there. But you go inside where the work is being done, I'm thinking about some particular conservatives who aren't on board and stood with Caleb Rowden, as opposed to the Freedom Caucus.
Right.
They're going to have some very difficult questions to answer today. And that's part of the things that if you do a protest or a rally correctly, you can really pressure people into some changes.
I'm thinking about the noise. Even if they're not like raising their voices.
Yeah.
The way that sound carries in that building.
It bounces everywhere.
It bounces everywhere.
Acoustics are terrible in there.
There's places where you can stand and hear it. It's like, it's hilarious. So with that many people, I think it's going to have an impression.
Yeah, it does, because it's going to be like a great big hive of bees.
Yes.
That gets really loud in there. And that's what
I wish I could have gone.
Oh, it would be really interesting to see, because I saw the flyer for the rally and the protest. I'm like, okay, great, that's fine. Then I see what's happening right now. I'm like, the timing could not be better.
I know. It's probably ended up being perfect.
And what's going to be fascinating is if we start to see some of these other conservatives, and I want to acknowledge that not everybody who is outside of the Freedom Caucus is a rhino. There are some really good conservatives who just for whatever reason have decided the Freedom Caucus is not their thing, not the brand they want to buy into.
Well, maybe their constituents are saying, I don't want you getting on board with that. I want, this is where we want you to be.
But those may be the ones who are in the best position to say, all right, guys, let's figure out a deal. Let's move it forward. I agree with you on this and this and this.
Right.
Let's make something happen. And this is the type of thing that could pressure them into that.
Well, and those are the people that are going to probably have to broker whatever deal can be made, because you've got the two entrenched sides. So you've got to have somebody who's in the middle who can kind of get both sides to come in a little bit closer together.
So the claim that's being made by sort of the establishment that we all agree on the same thing, they're just being obstructionists for no reason. The argument is wearing thin, and people are seeing through it. Is really what's happening.
I think so.
Yeah. All right, redstate.com. What's coming from you today on that?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I wrote a follow-up article last night about what's going on in the Missouri legislature. There may be another one, depending on how things go today. But yeah, now I don't have my day mapped out yet.
Redstate.com is where you're going to find that. Susie Moore in for Gabe. Really appreciate you filling in.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Stell, she can come back, right?
Yeah, if you take a nap.
Yeah, I need one.
Welcome to my world.
Isn't that the truth?
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here just ahead. Don't forget the on-demand listing for News Talk STL podcast. The interviews that we had today, those are going to be up within the next few hours or so. Check them out, share them with your friends, and we will keep you updated on what's happening in the Senate. If you're going up there, I'm telling you, if you're listening on our streaming app right now and you're in Jeff City, take pictures and tag us, please. I want to see them. Let's do it.
And don't forget, we're live and local until 10 tonight with
That's
the Rob
right.
Carter Show, 8 to 10.
Right after Larry Connors.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te